All right, mic check 1 2, mic check 1 2. What up, what up? It's the AGM podcast, and I go by the name of JC. I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Dorian, a.k.a. Huso, and our lovely queen, Yana Captivates, and little bro Bug behind the camera lens. And we got a very, very special treat for y'all today, man. But first and foremost, we just want to thank y'all for all the feedback from the last episode. We got a lot of good reception. People that were just inspired, to see a young African American who, thought outside the box and started a black owned water brand, which we still have right here. My guy 2G, and you guys can go to litg.com to continue to support that, man. That's probably what we're most proud of thus far, but we do plan on topping that today.
Dope.
And also, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share. Anybody watching this on YouTube, you can find this on any major media platform. Just type in the AGM podcast or All Grind Media. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And without further ado, man, let's get into it. So our special guest for today, man, we got a very, very interesting story. So when we met, it was just on some we was just cool. We would chop it up, have our conversations. I had no idea of his backstory, no idea where he came from, nothing. We just had a regular cool young brother from around the way, and I think due to his acting credentials, he told me to just do like a little research or something like that, and I went and looked and ended up digging deeper. And ended up, finding out his powerful story, which is also in this book right here that I read top to bottom. He had a very, very, special story of what he went through, and I randomly went to him without him knowing that I did look into him and told him like, man, you such an inspiration to me. I don't even know what you've done, but just the fact that you're able to smile and just be positive and just to keep going, man, that's an inspiration in itself. And he right here, y'all can ask him yourself. That's exactly what I came up to and told him. And then come to find out about, all the other things he's, all the other groundwork that he's put in. So activist / actor / just great spirit altogether. My guy, King Jaquell Martin.
Appreciate it.
Clap it up, man.
Thank you.
This our second special guest on the show, man. It's our 7th episode, man. So we real excited to have you. And unfortunately, the reason he's here is this, in light of the the ongoing oppression of young black men and women everywhere. So with the Dante Wright, rest in peace, situation in this past week. But what particularly hit a nerve was the situation of the Army Lieutenant, I think his name Caron Nazario. Am I saying it right?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Caron Nazario, the Army Lieutenant that was pepper sprayed, someone who can serve this country and still come home and be treated in that sort, which is a very similar story to my guy right here. So I basically just allow him to explain kind of his background story and why this touched him in the way that it does, and take it from here, my brother.
First of all, let me commend y'all because I wouldn't be here if y'all didn't take the chance to build this platform.
Bro.
To see us being entrepreneurs, to see us putting our face out there, to see us taking command of our lifestyle and taking control of that is powerful.
Appreciate you,
what I mean?
Bro.
Because
Appreciate
most people don't take this risk. Most people aren't
Right.
willing to do what you're doing and to be the
Right.
face of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And a long time ago, I heard, "Heavy is the people that wear the crown." So there comes a responsibility with what y'all doing,
Right.
because everyone's watching. Everyone's gonna have an opinion, whether they agree with you or not, and to wear that burden, and to continue doing it and showing up for your what's this, your 7th show?
Seventh episode.
What means you've
It's crazy.
pursued, you know what I'm saying? You've endured all the other shows because you didn't know if it was going to work. You didn't know if people was going to agree.
No idea.
So for y'all to just leap out there on faith is dope.
Right.
And it gave someone like me an opportunity to speak to people that I would have never been able to speak to if you didn't build what you built.
Right.
So I'm super grateful. I'm super humble.
thank you,
I'm
brother.
super proud of y'all. Big facts.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, big facts. And what's so crazy about it is we was doing security together.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, that's how we met.
Yeah, we met during Andrew's security.
We
You know,
met on just some cools where we had no
stuff.
idea. He could have been a right wing and Trump supporter for all I
Right,
know. I had no idea.
No. We're not even gonna do that.
In theory, maybe.
But and shout out to whoever does that, bro. I mean, people have the right to believe what they want to believe. That's the beautiful thing about free will. But that's just not what I chose. But the funny thing about it is, you caught me off guard. I didn't even share my story and everything that I went through. You know what I mean?
At all.
And it wasn't because I was trying to hide from it or bury it, but just sometimes, even with this situation, you know what I mean? Talking about it, sometimes people try to manipulate it to make it be what they want to be.
Right.
They could be like, "Oh, why are you talking about it now? You just trying to jump on the lieutenant's bandwagon."
Mm-hmm.
Nah, man, I've been fighting this for 16 years. And to keep it 100, y'all, you know, I'm so happy that he's getting this justice.
Right.
I'm so happy that, you know, the officer is now I think he's resigned from the position.
I think he was fired. Actually.
Oh, fired.
He was fired.
Okay.
Yeah, the one from the Dante Rice situation, she resigned.
And so, right, correct. Thank you for that. And so part of me is honestly, I don't want to use the word envious or whatever else because people will take that the wrong way. But I wish that I was able to receive the same justice back then.
Right.
But social media wasn't as popular in
It's more of a
2005,
trend
you know,
now.
so it's totally different. So in my situation, the reason why I say that was because if they would have did everything right, the little girl at Spring Valley High School, it would have never happened to her.
Right.
But because they didn't do anything, they put him in a school, and then he was able to beat up a young lady, you know what I mean, while she was in a classroom sitting in her desk, slamming her head and throw her across the classroom.
Right. And on that point, can you go into your story as far as
absolutely.
Yeah.
We're gonna play.
Let's go ahead.
Let's
Let's get into it.
And that's where why I'm saying what I'm saying right now about the lieutenant situation. I'm glad his justice was swift.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Right. And then I've been enduring this thing for 16 years.
Right. That's over a decade. That's way
a
too long. Way
time.
too long.
So to see someone get the justice, you'd be like, God, me too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I started this whole new hashtag police abuse me too.
And that's where Me Too came from in the beginning. With
Why not?
Just that idea. And you specifying that makes it even more valid, just in the sense of it's not just with sexual assault. It's not just with workplace inconsistencies or things that people shouldn't be doing, whatever it may be. It's in everything. Like, there's always going to be a Me Too situation where people have not stepped up or have and haven't been heard, or have not because they're scared of not being heard because they've seen everybody else not get heard. Whatever it may be. That whole Me Too thing that people be so up in ruffled feathers about, panties in a bunch about, that's real.
It's 100% real.
That's real.
That's why it took me so long to write the book. Because I'm like, man, who finna believe me? We still out in the streets getting shot. Ain't nothing changed. You know what I mean? And no disrespect, but look, I don't care about a mural in the street that says Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely not. What is that going to do?
I don't care about the breadcrumbs that we've been given. You know what I mean? Even with the Stop Asian Hate. Of course that should stop. But even in the midst of Stop Asian Hate, where's Blue Lives Matter right now? Where's All Lives Matter right now? Why? Where's the same people? That,
they
you know
not
what I'm saying?
trying
Why
to
is the temperature
contradict
the
what
same?
they gotta say, but yeah,
you know?
the moment Black Lives Matter steps up or anything black related,
when we said
it
Black
gets
Lives
shot
Matter
down or it gets argued against, as opposed to Stop Asian Hate. No All Lives Matter, no Blue Lives Matter. Like you said, that's absolutely
we're the same energy. Keep the same. They deserve the same energy.
Yeah, man,
and
they took YG album off iTunes. It's like, man,
you know. I look at it like this: like we've always been there. No, you good, fam. We've always been there to support Asian community. If you look throughout history, you know what I mean. So I feel that the Asian community and the Black community should continue to unite and stand united to go ahead and create the laws that we want to create the change, so we can be protected. If we want to get a little deep or whatever else, the Constitution was never meant for us from the beginning. And so what we have is we have amendments, right? But an amendment is just what it is. An amendment can be changed anytime they want it to change. An amendment has a lot of loopholes in it, right? Because you wasn't a part of the original conversation. Right. So that's like if I come to your house, right, and I'm chilling with you in your crib. Could I tell you what to do in your house? No, of course not. I'm gonna play by your rules.
That's common sense,
right?
Like, yeah.
But you make an amendment if I say, "Hey, can I use your bathroom?" Right. Can I go in your kitchen?
Right.
Those are amendments.
That's a good analogy.
And the point of it is anytime you say, nah, you can't, it changes. So that's why I feel like officers can say, I fear for my life, but we can't say the same thing. We can't have the same reality. Right. Well, why'd you run? Because I'm scared. I have a history of being murdered. I'm scared. If your history, and no disrespect, if you look at the history of where the police badge comes from, it comes from the slave patrol.
Absolutely.
Yeah, spot on.
And honestly, not to digress too much, but just to your point, common sense would say if somebody has a weapon and you don't, you will feel threatened, period. Especially if you have power, which police officers do. Right. But it's common sense and instinctual to be fearful. If somebody who is going up against you negatively has a weapon and you don't, you are unarmed, you are automatically the victim. It's survival of the fittest, right? So when it comes down to it, to me, I don't see the logic in officers being like, oh, well, why are you scared? Why are you hesitant? Why are you not doing things? Like, wait. How ignorant is that? Because anybody with the weapon has the higher up. That's like common fucking sense. That's simple logic. Very simple logic. I'm all about logic. That's very simple logic that is overlooked. And I feel like that's one of those things that should be highlighted a lot more. Just the aspect of how real that is. The aspect that logic does make sense and matters in not only America, but in humanity. It makes a lot of sense. And people don't look at the simple logic of a lot of different situations that can be avoided. Simple logic. Right. Very simple. It takes nothing but A plus B equals C. Y'all throwing exponents in alphabet, formulas. Like, y'all doing the extras to me. Right. But proceed. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I think they call it fight or flight. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And we have the same right and entitlement to that, but I don't think that sometimes when a constitution is not written for you and you're considered 3/5, they don't look at you as a whole person.
Right.
Absolutely. Still haven't.
So let's get into it then. Basically, I was a United States soldier. I served my country honorably. I've won multiple awards from Soldier of the Month, Soldier of the Quarter. On this particular day, I was doing a uniform inspection for my soldier, PFC Carlisle. On the way home, just like any other day, I live like maybe 2 to 3 miles away from the base. Right. I lived in Quail Run Apartments. And PTSD is
what city you were in?
Oh, I was in Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay.
I was stationed at Fort Jackson. I worked at Moncrief Hospital.
Gotcha.
And the reason why I say PTSD is real is because when I saw exactly what happened to the lieutenant, it was a straight flashback. I remember saying, why are you doing this to me? Why are you stopping me? Almost the same type of conversation and it being handled in the same way, So the flashback of that is real. And I was just so angry and I cried because I felt like, am I doing something wrong? Is this not enough? So back to my story. On the way home, there was a police officer in the neighborhood. No big deal, normal stuff, right? I was following the police officer. Most apartments are shaped like squares or rectangles, you want to say it like that. He was just happening to be driving towards my apartment. I was following him. He makes the roundabout of the parking lot. I acknowledge him by nodding my head. In his police report, he said he felt like I was teasing him by bobbing my head. I don't know what type of training that is. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but where I come from, when you tip your hat or you acknowledge it, it's like saying hello.
Sign of respect.
Right? Yeah. So he took that as if I was teasing him. I guess it triggered something in him. I'm not sure if he was having a bad day. I'm not here to speak for him. I'm here to speak for me, right? So I wind up parking my car, getting out my car, walking to the apartment. Now, for me, I'm not trying to put God on nobody. I'm just saying for what I believe in, right? I believe that God puts people in the right situation at the right time. The police officer wasn't home. The police officer's mother was home. And she happened to be outside watching this whole altercation when it went down. So the cop peels off. Naturally, you want to turn around to see what's going on in your neighborhood. So I turn around. He's like, hey, you, come here. I'm like, who, me? He's like, yeah, you, come here. I was like, okay, how can I help you, sir? Right. He said, I'm out here for a noise violation. I said, well, it couldn't have been me, sir. I just got home from work. Okay. Plus, you see, I'm in my military uniform.
Right.
License and registration. Now, mind you, before I got stationed in South Carolina, because I just got stationed there, I was in Germany. I lost my picture license.
Okay.
I graduated high school in Alaska, so I was a resident of Alaska. So Alaska DMV sent me a paper license, which is still a legal document to drive on. It might be a little uncommon, but it's still a legal document, right?
Right.
So when I handed him all my documentation, I handed him the paper license or whatever else. He was like, "Well, what the hell is this?" And I was like, "Dude, if you just calm down, you can see I'm a soldier. I just got back from Germany. You will not be calling me dude. Address me as dude." I said, "Well, you address me by hey you." He said, "Well, that's because I don't know your name." Well, hell,
I don't know your name.
I don't know your name either,
Right.
right?
What is the
That would be
logic in
anybody's,
that?
you know what I'm saying,
Right.
reaction or
What's the
whatever else.
logic?
Next thing I know, the dude, boom, slams me on the ground, starts welling on me, punching me or whatever else. The police officer's mother, she runs downstairs to get my ex, knocks on the door, gets her to come outside. He's making all these racial statements. Just for your show, I'll add this too, because sometimes you need to be able to show the receipts if you don't have video. So I'll send the internal affairs report where he's answering questions, and he's basically, sometimes when your history allows you to get away with something, you don't fear what you're doing, and you just admit to it because you know there's no repercussions.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with all these people who are having these different cases where they're clearly in the wrong, but the color of their skin protects them. Because if we did the exact same thing, or if it was a black officer shooting a white child, he wouldn't be able to say, "I fear for my life" or anything else, and then be able to get, "Oh, well, I didn't know this was a gun. Oh, I didn't know I lived in this apartment." We wouldn't be able to say those same things and, walk away or whatever else, right? He makes all these racial comments, how he is saying that I'm nothing but another black statistic. Welcome to the South. How he's glad Johnny Cochran's dead. Johnny Cochran was a famous lawyer or whatever else who passed away. I'm nothing but another notch on his belt. Just all these other racial comments, right? My ex comes out. She sees the situation or whatever else. I tell her I'm okay. Calm down. That must have pissed him off because he must have felt like he wasn't in control no more, so he became even more violent. So he took out a whole can of pepper spray and used a whole can of pepper spray on me.
Wow. Same exact thing that happened to dude.
That's wild.
Exactly.
Wow.
Right. And that's why I say it feels kind of like deja vu.
PTSD is real.
Right.
Like, absolutely.
So when he was living through it and it was happening to him, I felt like I was living through it all over again, watching this brother go through what he was going through because I lived it. And if anybody could understand what he was going through, I feel like it would be me. You know what I mean? We have movies like The Highlander when you're transported into another person's body or whatever else. I just felt all that energy, and I'm not even there. This is just a video of it, but you feel like you're really there, and it's the reality of what's happening to you.
Triggers
right?
are real. People need to remember that triggers are real.
And so while he's beating on me and he's doing all these different things or whatever else, I cover myself with my arm. I take my left arm, I hold my uniform, hands handcuffed right behind my back. I bury my face in my clothes and my uniform. Now, when I did this is me following my military training. So when you're in the military, you have to go to the gas chamber, and that's part of the training before you go to war or whatever else, right? And so you're taught to close your eyes, hold your breath, so that way you won't be affected by the different chemicals, right? So with mace, the way it works is if it gets in your pores or if it gets in your skin, it'll start burning or whatever else. Or if you breathe it in, that's why you see so many people choking or whatever else. But if you close your eyes, you hold your breath, you don't scratch yourself, you still feel a little irritation, but it won't be as bad as a normal person who wouldn't know how to protect themselves.
Right.
So because I protected myself or whatever else, he thought I was on drugs. He accused me of being on drugs, and he became even more violent and started punching me.
Because you're more vigilant, you're on drugs.
No, well, because I didn't react like the normal civilian would. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, when most people get mazed, we see the reaction.
Fatigues, I feel like that would give you more of an insight as to... But I hear you. I understand the
bias.
bias.
You could be in Army fatigues, but if you can't change your skin color.
Yeah, absolutely. And I get the bias. I understand.
And so when I didn't react the way he thought, he became more violent. Women and children used to came out. I used to take the kids in the neighborhood to the football games. So I was very well known in the neighborhood or whatever else. So you have a group of women and children watching this officer beat me in my military uniform or whatever else. So he gets nervous because people are watching and they're taking pictures. You know what I mean? Videos and social media wasn't as big then as it is now.
Right.
So they're taking picture. My ex runs in the house, grabs her cell phone, comes like she's taking picture of him. He gets nervous and he gets on the radio and he says whatever the code was, 1032, officer in distress. Now, mind you, I understand protocol because I'm a soldier, right? So I understand why. Right. So I understand why the other officers arrive to the scene the way they arrive to the scene. But I do understand training, and in training you're supposed to assess the scene before you just get out and react or do whatever, right? So they were like, get her black. She has pictures of me. So they ran up on my ex. They throw her in the car. They handcuff her. You know how you put your hands behind the head and then they can open you, spread your legs, whatever. Right. She drops the cell phone. They take her arms down or whatever else and they handcuff her. They pick her up by the back of her arms and then they slam her into the ground face first after she was already handcuffed. Now, it's one thing for you to be beaten, right? Mm-hmm. It's another thing to watch your loved one be beaten in front of you and you're helpless and there's nothing that you can do nothing about it. Because the more you struggle, the more you put both of your lives in danger, right. You know? And I think that this doesn't get enough attention because sometimes in relationships, you know, as the man, you be like, yo, if something happens, call me. Mm-hmm. And women be like, no, I'm not going to call you because I know if I call you, something else possibly could happen. Right. But as a man, you feel like, well, I can't protect you if you don't call me. And then it creates a conflict.
It's a paradox. But it's vicious. Exactly. It's a vicious paradox in that sense.
So who's right in the situation? Is the man right for wanting to be there to protect the woman, or is the woman right for saying, hey, I don't want you to come because I don't want you to get shot and I don't want us to get killed? Exactly. Right. You know, what do you do? And this is what our other counterparts don't have to face. They don't have to deal with these different type of decisions.
Right.
You know? So in the situation or whatever else, they slam her to the ground. I'm crying out to God. I'm asking her if she's okay or whatever else. They call EMS because he used mace on me or whatever else. EMS arrives to the scene. I'm asking, can I get the cell phone? And so he runs over there. He grabs the cell phone because the black cop who lived above us, she finally arrived to the scene. She might as well have not even been a cop.
I'll say finally arrived.
You know, she might as well not have been a part of the situation because they treated her as if she wasn't one or whatever else. Now, when a female officer arrives to a scene, a female officer is supposed to search a female, pat down a female. Right. And if a male does it, he's supposed to use the back of his hands. So I'm sitting here watching all these dudes frisk her in front of me, and there's nothing I can do about it. You know, groping her and everything else, and there's nothing I can do, and I have to sit there and watch through this situation. That does something different to you, right? Mentally, physically, spiritually, as a man. You know, your confidence and everything else, right? So
I mean, it's hard to even hear. So I can imagine you going through it in real time, right? You know I mean? Like it's like gut wrenching, even. You know what I'm saying? And I've heard the story. I read the book, and even right now, it's still like, you know, it hits me in a different way.
And here's a funny thing: when you tell them the truth don't change. You know what I mean? Right. So the same thing I'm telling you right now is going to be.
You said the same thing.
You said the same thing for years, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, absolutely.
Right, and this happened in 2005, and so for me to get up here and just tell you that just only shows how real PTSD can really be. You know, so to watch that situation, man, is just so degrading, humiliating, you know. EMS arrives to the scene. They put her in the back of a police car. They put me in the back of a police car. I'm asking for the cell phones. He was like, well, you can have your cell phone back if you delete the pictures. Why would I have to delete the pictures?
Deleting evidence, right?
Right? So what they did was they went through the phone and they deleted the pictures. Wow. You know, they deleted all the pictures that they wanted to delete and they left the ones that made it seem as if he was doing the right thing. And the crazy thing about it is they admit it. It's in court document. They asked, you know what I mean? You know, why did you delete the pictures and everything? So you're tampering with evidence. Right. And at the same time, body cams was real. So you telling me out of all those cop cars that was there that day, none of them cameras worked? Yeah. You telling me out of all, if body cams are here to protect officers, none of them were on that day? See, it's officers and individuals like Officer Benjamin Fields and Deputy Joseph Clark, that put good officers in bad situations. Right. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that all officers are bad. That's ignorance. I have some family members that are SWAT that are officers or whatever else. You know what I mean? So this ain't about an officer bashing or anything like that. But this is a way to uplift the officers that do their job the right way. But I believe there's a huge difference in being an officer and a bully or a murderer. See, when you're an officer, you follow protocol, you follow training, you do what you're told to do as far as where it goes to the code blue or whatever else, or being an officer, right? Right. But when you step outside your training, who are you then? Because they say officers are human too, right? Mm-hmm. They say officers want to make it home safely too, and all that's true. But I know if I go get a gun or if I go shoot somebody or I go do something that's out of characteristics, there's rules for that.
I feel like bully is a nice way to put it, because what it should be, especially in this day and age, as we've been seeing exemplified more and more, is sadism. But okay, I mean, you know, they're sadists. They're not bullies. They're fucking sadists, because they're openly wanting to see people suffer for their own gratification or pleasure in whatever way it may be, whether it's power, ego boost, I'm not gonna go as far as say sexual. I'm not Sigmund Freud here. However, who knows? We don't know.
Right.
But they have this motive to openly go out of their way to go against protocol, to go out of the way to make Black people or people of color suffer. Even a couple years ago, remembering how a couple got shot up, over 100, if not 120 shots in a car for 2 people.
Yeah,
that's never necessary. Like, for years, it's been very evident that, you know, to me, I felt the more sharing of certain things is more like snuff films that are more accepted these days.
Yeah, and on that line, I'll take it a step further. Like, I feel like the word bully isn't even good enough. They're terrorists, is what they are. They're
There's
domestic
that as well.
terrorists,
Yeah.
is what they're doing.
I mean, and you know, I'll let you continue, but you know, to speak to your point, you know, I just wanted to tap into something real quick on this, you know, all cops aren't bad thing. Like, I have my play uncle that I grew up with literally since the day I was born, all the way up until 2008, where he became the first SWAT officer that was killed in the line of duty.
Wow.
So I have like very, very close relationships coming up, you know, with police officers. But my thing is, the ones that we claim or say like, oh, like all cops aren't bad, they have like this unwritten code to where like if you're out with your officer, with your partner, and they do something that's out of bounds, and you go and report that, which by law they're supposed to do, but if they do, it's like you're like the
snitches.
It's like treason about that,
right.
Like treason about the police
so it's like
department.
Where do we even begin to address something like that that's supposed to be in place to protect us, but yet there's still like this, all cops aren't bad, but it's like, are you really a good cop if you watching stuff like that go down and you don't speak on it, or you don't stand up for it, to where it led to a situation such as like Christopher Dorner, to where he watched it for so many years that he just couldn't take it anymore, and that exact scenario happened with him, by the way. He
right.
reported something that was out of line with a partner of his, and he was the one that got fired and outcasted.
Right. And that's why the cycle continues, you know what I mean? It's like a hamster wheel. And that's why I say personally, if there are no laws put in place to change that, it's going to continue to happen. We're not talking about nothing new. Right. Honestly, I'm not the first. I'm not the last, as you can see.
Right.
But going through this process while I'm here, I know that so many people sacrificed their life for me to have the comfortability and the freedoms that I have today. Right. So I don't want their sacrifices to go in vain. And I have boys, and I don't want them to be up here telling the same story that I'm telling in their future. Right. When do we stop this for the lineage to change? When do we have to finally stand up to make a difference? You know what I mean? Right. Put our monies together to get different laws changed, because you got to buy, in my opinion, I think you have to buy laws. You know what I'm saying? Right. I think we have to unite to create different changes. And I do want to throw this out there. You know, might think it might be random, but I think it's a perfect fit for what we're talking about right now. Ice Cube, you know, came up with a plan. And I don't know if the plan was the right thing or if it was the wrong thing, but he came up with something. Right. How many people sat on the sideline and talked so much trash, but they weren't willing to try to do anything? I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't agree with his plan, come up with your own proposals, come up with your own thoughts, come up with your own rules. But if every time we try to do something different, if we sit back and just judge it, then we'll never be able to unite to create the change that we want.
And didn't you say the community owes Ice Cube an apology?
Hell yeah.
He just said that.
And I mean, you got to think about it. Look how long Ice Cube has been fighting for change. You know what I mean?
Before I was born.
Yeah, you know, even from the music that he talked about, you know what I'm saying? Even in his lyrics, you know, I want to also shout out like Colin Kaepernick. He put his whole career on the line and got blackballed. The man will never play football again. Right. Will we ever see another Colin Kaepernick? Will we ever see another black player take a knee in the same fashion? Or was that more of the I bet you won't do it again, boy?
Right, right.
I dare you. You know, you had an NFL commissioner owner come out and say, "Well, we can't let the inmates run the prison." You got to look at people's mindset and the things that people say. You know what I mean? I want to shout out to Michael B. Jordan for wanting to do Fruitvale Station and taking a chance to tell the truth. I want to shout out the people from Ballers that allowed me to have a book signing on set. But I think it was like season 4, episode 10, they did a Colin Kaepernick situation where they're talking about players speaking up about this same thing right here. Right. I think we are in a momentum and a wave of change right now. Right. And if we don't capitalize, let me back that up. If we don't come together to capitalize on what's happening, then the change will miss out on it. You know what I mean? Nipsey Hussle, shout out to him. He had a slogan that says the marathon continues. Now, I have nothing but respect for Nipsey, and I understand why his slogan is his slogan, but it bothers me because the truth behind the slogan is it's only a marathon if one person is running the race. Mm-hmm. How much faster will we get to our goal if we all united to run that race together? But it's hard to run that race together because we're so busy pulling each other back in certain situations. I don't know if it's because of Jim Crow. I don't know if it's because of the Willie Lynch letter. I don't know if it's because we just don't get it yet.
Internalized hate that comes from societal biases that come up, the perpetuations of what we should or what we're expected to be. That can be internalized after a time as well, which could factor into what you're saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so I think the choices that we make today do affect tomorrow, you know, and I do think that, hey, you don't have to agree with someone else's plan. That's okay. Just come up with one. Don't just be the person in the peanut gallery throwing hate and throwing salt.
Or don't say nothing if you don't have nothing to contribute to it.
Exactly.
Step back and let the people who are willing and able or in the space to fight for that you, if you are not able to be in that space, because myself, I'm not always in the space to be protesting and doing certain things. Right. But I know for a fact that I'm not going to speak ill in any negative way on things that I'm not even making an effort to do. I'm not going to speak on what I don't know, what I'm not struggling with.
Right.
I can just factor in the fact that this isn't something that I have put my foot in. Mm-hmm. Even with the election. When Donald Trump got elected, I didn't vote. My ex is big into political science. So I got a lot of slack for that. Like a lot of hell for that. But at the same time, it's like, all right, well, I know that within these next 4 years, I can't say too much of anything to a certain extent because I didn't play my part as a civilian to make a difference or put my word in. That's how I feel about it. Like, let me step back. I can't say that he's such a terrible person. What'd you say?
I think you did play your part.
Okay.
And the reason why I say
and I appreciate that aspect.
Because, you know, it's your right to choose. Right. And if there's not a candidate that you want, why would you pick the lesser of what they say, two evils? Right. Why would you pick? You know what I mean? So I feel like there's more than one way to protest. You don't always just have to march. There's more than one way to make a change. But as long as you're working towards the change instead of hating against what we're trying to change, I think that's what makes the difference.
And I feel like that's the disconnect with a lot of people is that they're not trying to make a difference, as we're saying. They're not trying to do any work, yet they want to have so much to say about people doing the work. Like, wait, but either you do it or you don't, and you sit back and let the people who are trying to do something, or like you said, you come up with a better alternative that better suits what you're looking for to see reflected in society, period.
Right.
I got a quick question for you. So, what was like, I guess, like the turning point within your situation that you had with your, with you and your wife or your ex-wife that got it, like, I guess, the media traction to where like more people were reaching out, to lead into the book. Like, what do you feel like was the turning point to where you got like more, attention for that?
I'll say even in the story of when it happened, when the paddy wagon came, after they deleted the pictures, they were putting us in the back of the paddy wagon. They were like, we're going to take her to the hotel. And the officer...
This is your wife they were talking about? Okay.
They said they're going to take her to the hotel?
Yeah. And I said, what you say? And he was like, you heard me. And so sometimes down south, people don't always follow the rules. People get beat up in the woods. Multiple things happen. You know what I mean? Right. Down south, they do what they want to do, you know, sometimes. And so I would say the officer who was actually sitting in front of the paddy wagon heard the statement. Mm-hmm. And he wrote a statement for us.
Wow.
So we had the police officer's mother write a statement. We had the officer in the paddy wagon write a statement.
Quick question. When you said the police officer's mother, are you talking about Ben Fields?
No. I'm talking about remember I told you that my neighbor was a police officer? The black lady.
Okay.
Her mother. So I think that was a turning point because documentation beat conversation any day of the week. Another turning point was when we actually got booked, to walk in there in your military uniform and how embarrassing that is, you know what I'm saying? Or to see other brothers there and they see you and they're like, wow, really? They're arresting soldiers too now? Right. To watch her get fingerprinted, was horrible, to sit there and for me to get fingerprinted. But another turning point was while we were getting assaulted by the police this young lady, Jarrell's mother, she has stepped up in the middle of the situation, and she said, "What the hell are y'all doing to them? They haven't done anything wrong." And they pushed her and was like, "If you don't get your black back, you can go to jail with them too."
Wow. So they was just full blown Rufus not caring through the whole motion. Like,
well, I mean, you see it in the lieutenant's video. Care for what?
Right.
Who's gonna stop me from what I'm doing? Even whether I know my body cam is on or not, I'm still gonna do what I do. So she was the young lady who picked us up. You know, when we got on the bond, she picked us up. She took us to Moncrief Hospital. Okay. So that's why I mean, like, certain little turning points of people showing kindness and grace to help you in the situation. So when we got to the hospital, we got everything medically documented. I mean, the doctor was like, "Oh my God, you know, open up the curtain and everything else to the door," because the mace was so heavy in our clothes that you could still smell it. You know what I mean? To check for the bruises and everything else that we had. Right. Another turning point was when I went to the military and I spoke to my first sergeant, and he was like, "Sorry, Martin, I understand. You've always been a good soldier. I know how it is. We're in South Carolina. Things happen or whatever else. You're good to go." Right. I got a brand new first sergeant that came in. Her name was Penny Walls. And, you know, sometimes when you are the new captain of the ship, you want to try to lay the law. You know what I mean? To show yourself worthy or whatever, especially if you want to call the military a male-dominated organization. Sure, you know what I mean? So no disrespect to any woman, because my mother's a first sergeant in the military, so I'm not trying to be derogatory towards females or anything like that, right? Because, you know, people try to take your words and make it mean what they want to mean.
Yeah, no, I mean, certain jobs are dominated by, you know, there's statistics to prove that.
Right. So she blackballed me. She gave me Article 15s. She wouldn't let me get promoted. She tried to illegally send me to Korea. I got kicked out the hospital. So many different things that where the Army turned their back on me. And I'm like, I'm not guilty. Right. I haven't done anything. But we know how society works. You are guilty until proven innocent. Right. And even when you're found innocent, you're still looked at as if you did something wrong. It's still going to be some type of guilt that comes with that or whatever else. Because if I spill a tea on a white dress, the stain is still going to be there. You know what I mean? Right. People are going to still remember that. You know what I mean? So I started reaching out for help. You know, my mother was a first sergeant. You know, I was going through my divorce at the time because she felt like I couldn't protect her. We were young. There was a lot of stuff that was going on between us. I mean,
how old were you when that happened?
Like 22, 23. Damn, you know what I mean? Yeah. So we young. We don't.
I know you don't look it.
You know, you know. Oh, that's Noxzema. You know. But I'm just saying, like, we was mad young. You know what I'm saying? So I understand. You know what I mean? And shout out to her. You know what I'm saying, for her safety and her doing well. You know what I mean? Nothing but the best.
For sure.
But when you're that young and you just don't know, you just don't know. You know what I mean? And so I went out to the NAACP. I'm not talking about the main branch. I'm only talking about the South Carolina branch. Sometimes people can wear someone else's name and still don't represent it the right way. Mm-hmm. So when I asked them for help, they was like, "Well, how much you paying us?" I say, "What? What you say?" I'm cool. I'm good. I reached out to the ACLU. I reached out to the Rainbow Push. I reached out to all these different organizations that were claiming they were going to help. Mm-hmm. Another turning point was when I reached out to the senator, Congressman Don Young in Alaska. Mm-hmm. He wrote a letter because the Army was trying to send me to Korea illegally. See, when you flag a soldier, according to the rules and regulations, they can't leave. They can't, go anywhere. So they flagged me for my court case, even though I wasn't guilty, even though I haven't done nothing done. They tried to send me to Korea wrongfully. And the fact that I was talking about it, hey, he keeps running his mouth. He's a problem. We got to get rid of this guy. You know what I mean? So the military, who I thought was like my brothers and sisters, turned their back on me. And it made me propose a question, as I see these things continue to happen, is the flag a lie? And what I mean by that is it claims to represent freedom, liberty, and justice for all. But I've never seen any of the three. Yeah, for us, for sure. And I've had ancestors before us, go to war and come back, and they have no place to stay. Right. They incorporated redlining, and we couldn't live in certain neighborhoods, and they pushed us into the hood. Or when we did create our own banks and we did create our own, it got bombed. Right. Black Wall Street, Rosewood, so all these different scenarios. So you can't say, why don't you create your own? Because when we did, you bombed it. And I feel like it's a flip, because sometimes we say no weapons, right? But when people take over Capitol buildings and other things and they take a stand, they have weapons. So it's an interesting twist or a mind game that's been played or whatever, Rush. You know what I mean? Right. So it makes me question things. Yeah, I love my country. I put my life on the line for 10 years. Of course I do. Of course I love America. Of course I love every color in the crayon box, because the truth is black people didn't free black people. Period. And some black people helped enslave black people. Some black people did sell black people. Let's all the way around. You know what I mean? But what I am saying is, like, it takes every single color, because when you look at Selma, all of us were standing together. And so if you look at the game that's kind of being played now, is black versus Asian. No, that's fake. That's cap. But if you can control the narrative, you can push that agenda, and you can make it seem as if it's supposed to be that way. You know what I mean? So we got to really pay attention to what's really actually happening, and what's actually really being said, and what we're really facing, because sometimes we're so emotional because we've been through so much that our emotions lead, and we have clouded judgment. So the system, whoever built the system was a genius. Genius.
Technically,
you know what I mean? And I know that might sound crazy that I'm saying that.
They are. I mean, based on the construction of everything, based on the success of everything, based on the perpetuation, the fact that it is so hard and has taken decades, if not at least maybe 1 century, to try to abolish or get rid of.
It's 2021.
They're pretty genius for that.
And Jay-Z just said that in the freestyle too. He said it's a ruthless but genius plan. In fact,
it's 2021. And we're still fighting this cycle. We're just living in the evolution of slavery. It just looks differently, because we're still treated the same way in certain situations, because we can see other people from other races face the same situation where they steal cop cars, fight back, grab guns, grab tasers, walk down the street with rifles and everything else, and nothing happens. Storm the Capitol building, nothing happens. And the president even admitted it. That's what blew my mind when Joe Biden said that. He said his granddaughter, I think he said it was his granddaughter or his daughter, came up to him and said, if that was black people, that it would be a different outcome.
Factual. They
know not to do something like that. And to me, the honesty in that, but there's a threat in that too.
Right.
Because if you ever tried something like this, it would be a bloodbath.
Yeah, factual. I think it really goes back to the analogy you made earlier, which is we in a house. You feel me? We're in their house, and just listening to your story and just feeling like your emotion behind it and everything like that, and thinking just that whole situation and what you went through with your wife and all with your ex-wife and everything like that, it reminds me of like anecdotes I've read of slavery and things like that, where and that's essentially what happened to black men, which is we were put in a position where we weren't able to protect ourselves, protect our women, protect our children, and it's just it's a cycle, like you said. It's going to continue and has continued for a couple hundred years, honestly, And I think the issue is we've remained in their house because we are in their house. That's why, as we all recognize, they can storm the Capitol building and nothing happens. They can kill cops in the process and nothing happens. But we know if we try to do that, they'd be like, yo, this not your house. What are you doing? Right. And I think that's really where we have to decide how long we gonna stay in the house. Like what was going on? Like what's the plan to get? We gotta get our own house. If you got issues with somebody that owns the house, like if you living with your mom and y'all keep on bumping heads, time to go.
I mean if I want to go a little deeper, we kind of gave the house away because the Moors were here as well. You know what I mean? With our history and the things that we've owned. But I definitely want to just make sure I stay on the topic, you know what I mean, of the scenario. And so what happened to me which was another change was my mother moved in after I got divorced. I seen all my friends going to work. I ain't had no job. I seen all my people playing flag football.
Were you discharged?
I was honorably medically discharged from the military.
Okay.
But see, crazy. Now here's the crazy thing, right? I was a medical soldier, so when I went for my medical evaluation, the same people that I was writing congressionals against were the same people who did my medical evaluation. How are they gonna give me a fair evaluation? Right. Super biased because I'm writing congressionals against them. So
was your discharge due to the incident, or were they
due to the incident?
Okay, got you.
And so they tried to put me out the military with a 0% discharge, medical discharge, right? I wrote my mother. My mother was like, "This isn't happening like this." So we wrote the White House. We were writing everybody, right?
Can you say what a 0% discharge?
I was just about to say that.
Okay, so let's say you get let's just use workers' comp. and you get paid a certain percentage, and the scale is between 0 and 100. So they tried to put me out the Army with nothing.
Right, absolutely nothing.
And then when my mother helped me fight, we went to the general's office, and then I wind up getting a 70% discharge, right?
Ain't that a difference?
So then you do your 6 month evaluation, and they dropped me back down to 30%. And so once I went to this place called CEO Space, I didn't want to go. My mother's like, you're going to get up. We're going to go. We're going to get you out this funk or whatever else. I ain't never seen you like this before. I was like, I'm not really trying to front or cap around a whole bunch of people. I had a medical invention that I wanted to work on called Mobile MD. That we were trying to get a patent, things like that. So I'm good with people. I'm good with, both sides of the generations or whatever else, So I went there and I met this lady named Goddess Lahadi. Her name is Myrna Grant, who's no longer with us. Amazing woman, beautiful spirit. Shout out to her and her family. September, Mr. Bernie Durham just passed away. So shout out to his wife. Sometimes other cultures do weird things. Can I touch your hair? Things like that. So this lady, she just walks up to me and she touches me on my stomach. The hell? In my mind, because I don't want to be disrespectful to someone who's older than me. And then she touches me on my forehead. And then she looks at me and she's like, you don't know who you are, do you? I said, excuse me? What you say? She said, you got to give birth to that. And that's a different type of conversation that I never had before.
That's a whole nother type of conversation.
Right? So I'm trying to see where this young lady is going, because in my mind I think she's crazy. I'm not sure how Miss Grant was. Okay. Just let's just say elder. Right?
Okay, fair enough.
And so she set me up, and the setup was so beautiful that it changed my life. She said, "You look like you play sports. Not trying to be funny or whatever else. You're in good shape. Who's your favorite athlete? Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant.
Yes,
Mamba mentality, big facts.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she said, "Oh, well, baby, tell me about Kobe Bryant." Oh, I said, he went to Lower Merion High School, got drafted by the Charlotte, got traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. He got 5 championships rings. He scored 62 points in 3 quarters versus Dallas. He scored 81 points versus Toronto. She's like, oh my God. You know a lot about Kobe. Yeah. I said, yes, ma'am. That's my man's, right? The Mamba. She said, now tell me your stats. I said, who?
Right, exactly.
What you say?
We can tell so much about other people.
Exactly. So she told me, you mean to tell me you're going to take the gift that God gave you and worry about what someone else's life and what they're doing in their life, and you have no clue what you're supposed to be doing in your life.
That's deep. Yeah.
You don't see nothing wrong with that, baby. And so for all my Generation Z, it's the same thing. We look at social media and look at everybody else's life and know what's going on in theirs, but if we took that same energy and put it in ours, then we could have the same highlight reel, and all them highlights ain't real.
Exactly. People put out what they want you to perceive about them, not what they're really going through. That's the disconnect. People get so caught up in the fantasy of what people are trying to sell as opposed to the reality, whether it's relationships, as we talked about last episode, and others, or it's a lifestyle. Regardless, people be so caught up in what they see in celebrities, and then they get into the sense of, oh, well, Birkin bags and celebrity living is supposed to be normal. It's not. It's not normal, and that's not necessary to be happy, fulfilled, or satisfied in life. No. However, people are so used to chasing the fantasy and the stacks and the hustling and the fast money, despite seeing how it gets people killed and despite seeing how it can negatively impact somebody's life outside of the pros that come with it. It's fast gratification, not longevity when it comes to actual gains and wealth and status. That's a big disconnect these days.
Shout out to Ye. I think he said it best, that they made us hate ourselves and love their wealth.
Yeah, shout out to Kanye, man.
I don't agree with everything he do. I ain't gonna sit here and cat like I agree with everything, but who agrees with anybody with everything they do? Nobody's perfect. You feel me?
Kanye.
But I like to say, like,
mountains.
When you said what sparked, I had to pull it up because I write poetry. But when you said about the modern day slavery, it just touched on that. When I wrote on Blackout Tuesday or about Blackout Tuesday last year, one thing that came to mind when you said that was this statement that I said, becoming the new norm and the conditioning was seamless, just blending and becoming more incorporated with what we are used to seeing. Becoming the new norm and the conditioning was seamless, brutal, but we didn't become dreamless, just understood that our reality was deadly. Like, we saw that, we can't really change, we can't really change certain things about the reality of our situation, that being color, being black, being a minority, comes with the fact that we have targets on our backs. We are more likely to be killed for no good reason. We are more looked at as, the threat or enemy. However, over time, we just kind of got conditioned to believe that this is something that's just what it is. So we can't technically fully change it. We just have to accept that this is what it is. We are not necessarily, that comes back to the internalized hate. We don't try to hate ourselves. We don't, it's unconscious, it's subconscious, it's stuff that's implemented in our society, things that are stereotyped and further ingrained in us for our worth and different things like that, to where these days we have to take our own journey individually, spiritual or otherwise, to find out who we are, what we're meaning to bring to this world as people who are targets, as people who are looked at as less than, as people who are literally, what is the word I'm looking for, poached in some type of way for their talent, for their usefulness, for their looks, for their culture, and having to make that difference. Sorry to digress, but it brought me back to that. That line in my poem, it brought me back to that, because it's like, dang, it's crazy how, modern slavery is real. We just became more conditioned to be okay with it, to understand that this is the reality in different ways.
You know what I realized from being in jail is that, like, we call it modern slavery, but I realize it's like I'm going through the same thing, at least on an emotional level, that my ancestors were going through back then. Like, I'm on a bus shackled with other black men, being directed, telling them where to go, being put in places that we can't leave. I hear black people say all the time, like, slave, they try to bring back slavery. I ain't gonna woo. It ain't. Well, that's what the prison system, that's what the jail system is. It's slavery. That's basically
the 13th Amendment.
Yeah, it's slavery.
Legal.
It's slavery with a different economic condition attached to it. I'm not in the field working, picking cotton and tobacco, but they're making money off of my body. Like, they say somebody is getting paid like $300,000 a year for each inmate, and I think that's one thing we have to realize as people is, like, the shit hasn't changed. Like, it hasn't changed.
It's just evolved.
Not one bit. Like, absolutely. Not one bit. The dynamic hasn't, from 1555 to 2021. The dynamic hasn't changed. It's just they just finessed this different ways.
I feel like it's more discreet because it's not so much we're supplying one of the biggest resources for our country anymore. We're not picking cotton, tobacco, and all that. We're not doing those things. So now it's undercover, quote unquote, because what it comes down to, private prisons.
It's more insidious for sure.
It's more insidious for sure, but it's under wraps. It's not us in fields. No, we're not providing these major crops for trade and different things like that in this day and age. However, in private prisons and prisons in general, but especially private prisons, because they make bank off of inmates. It's very much so discreet as opposed to being so evident.
It's just this was removed from the eye. Like, I was in Central Man's in, like, downtown LA, and it's like, it's right here in downtown LA. It's right here. When I got released, they just released me. You feel me? That's how they release everybody. And I, like, as I got out, I'm looking back at the building like, this shit is going on right here. It's going on right here. Like, niggas is enslaved right here, and I go past that building all the time. You don't see it. I
know exactly what you're talking about.
You don't see it, but it's happening right there. It's just like you said, it's being done covertly. But I feel like as black people, we have to ask ourselves, what exactly do we want to see for ourselves and for our children? Because, I would say our generation's Emmett Till was Trayvon, right? For us. And since that time, especially since, like, social media has, like, made things just more to the forefront, it's just been a string of this, a string of this, a string, just a series of things. And the cops who are doing the killing or doing the beating, like, their excuses are always the same. It's like, oh, I thought it was my taser. I feared for my life. you know,
I went into the
thought
wrong
it was my
apartment.
apartment.
right. I made him like, you feel me? And
All that.
it's like we're getting like what do you know what do you do? Like they say Einstein defined insanity as doing
The same thing
the
over and
same
over
thing,
again,
expecting a
expecting
different
change.
result. So as Black people, we have to really assess what's going on, assess what we've done to resolve the issue, and realize that everything that we've done up until this point hasn't gotten us the result that we want because it's still continuing. So we have to kind of sit with each other and figure out, or you know, look at history or something and figure it out. But right now, us being in this house is not working.
Right.
It's unfortunate to know that it'll take, I mean, in theory, based off of past history, what we've seen work in the sense of great change is mass murder in some sense, a war, a battle, something to where there is a full-blown, full-fledged fight. And unfortunately, not trying to perpetuate a race war here. However, unfortunately, it seems like it's going to take a full-blown race war to fully make any type of real changes. Because even thinking about Malcolm X, and he's somebody that would be looked at as, for some people, an extremist for back then. Because he was more about action as opposed to being more passive, as Dr. King was. Mm-hmm. Now, if we all took Malcolm X's route, good or not, but it was action, who knows where we would have been today? If we stayed on that perpetual, shit, they give us violence, why shouldn't we give them the same? Give them hell the same way? Knowing that there is a lot of repercussions to come with it today, it's very difficult to get Black people on the same page because we have a lot of different variables that make us not connect in different ways. However,
one of them being selfishness.
Amongst many, but absolutely is a sense of, realistically, it would take our masses of Black people, which we do have good numbers.
I want to say something real quick to what you just said, because we are in a race war. That's not even like a debate.
No, it's not a debate. No,
but
just more so.
When people hear the word war, they automatically think bloodshed, justifiably so.
Right.
But I want to make it clear that a war can be fought on
there's the Cold War,
multiple levels. Yeah,
there's
Cold
that
War,
alone.
Right.
Like,
There's a cultural war. There could be an economic war.
Societal.
There could be a social war.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so glad you said that, because when she said that, I was like, no, it didn't got to be about the violence. Man.
No, it doesn't have to.
Right?
Be.
I mean, but that's
what
what
I'm saying.
we've
tried a lot of other things.
No, I'm saying you were saying that because you were referencing Malcolm and Malcolm's theory, not because that was just your thought.
Right.
I think, like he just said, when it comes to economics and finances, that buying power, that spilling that dollar, that not going to work, that not showing up.
Absolutely.
Because when you here's the thing, perfect example, the NFL. When people stop watching, they say, "Oh, no, hold on.
Let's shape up some."
Wait.
Yeah.
What do you mean? You're not coming to the stadiums? You're not paying for this? When people stop getting that bread, because other people understand bread, and when they're not getting that money or whatever else, not for a day, not till change happens.
Right.
But see, and I never understood what my drill sergeant meant by that song. But he said, some people say freedom is free, but I tend to disagree because the battle that was won was through the barrel of a gun. There's a price to pay for the freedom we want.
Malcolm X said it's death.
You know, and my question is, are you willing not to wear your favorite brand? Are you willing not to do this differently?
Right.
Are you willing not to go get the game?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
are we willing to give up certain styles of luxury to be able to be free?
Good question.
But that was my first thought with that, because it's like, on point with what you said, it's like, I've seen so many of our generation be disrespectful enough to say like, oh, like, yeah, we are not our ancestors.
Right.
And I'm like, you niggas can't even boycott Gucci or Louis or something when they come under fire for something, and you have the audacity to fix your lips and say the same people that was getting hosed down and had dogs put on them, stuff that we haven't even dealt with half of that.
Cap.
Right, it's cap.
Big cap.
And
Big cap.
You're not even willing to go get a legal
Twitter
license. You know what I'm saying? You're not even willing to go get your license to be able to have a weapon.
Right.
You got to understand, you so for everything that's happening today has already been planned. You're so behind the curve, and if you're seeing it today, you missed the fact that they planned that a long time ago.
Right.
This is just a result of a plan that happened a long time ago. See, if a person plants a palm tree and it grows 5 years, we see the result of the tree. The palm tree is like, oh, that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. You don't realize they've been building that. They've been watering it, taking care of that, nurturing
it's been under wraps for a while.
Right.
Like, yeah.
So and that's what's so crazy. So when I was talking to the lady said, I want y'all to do this. Look around, even in this room, and tell me everything you see. I see a microphone, I see a book, I see a stand, I see a camera, I see shirts, socks, shoes, I see earrings. Everything you see is somebody else's dream.
Yeah.
And if you're always participating in everyone else's dream, who participating in your dream?
Yeah, exactly.
When did that SpongeBob shirt become more important in your dream?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. When did the earrings that you wear, the logo, when did that become more important in your dream? Because why are we always funding someone else's dream, but we won't put that same funding in our dream? And that's why I started off the show complimenting y'all.
Right.
Because this is the dream. Buying the microphones, buying the camera, getting up here and doing what you're doing, because this is the investment.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so what she said was, she was like, Kobe Bryant is amazing. He might be able to win 5 championship rings, but Jerry Buss can leave his children 5 islands. Who's really winning in this equation?
Ooh, that's deep.
Whoa. She said, because you got to really understand certain things. She said, in business and in plantation is the same.
It's the exact same.
It's the same blueprint. Okay, let's check this out. In a business, you have a worker bee, you have a manager, and you have a CEO. On a plantation, you have a slave driver, and massa. Ain't nothing different. The names is just changed. Right. You see what I'm saying? Like we're still playing Monopoly and don't even know that we're playing Monopoly. And people are like, what do you mean you're playing Monopoly? Right. Well, if you look at the Monopoly board and you really understand the rules of Monopoly, you are playing the game of life. I don't think this is... I'm a nobody. You ain't got to believe nothing I say. Right. I don't believe Martin Luther King died because of I have a dream speech. I don't give about no dream. Because a dream's not a reality. Right. People dream to have $1 million but don't never see it. Right. I believe in realities, but I believe the reality is when he started telling people to own land, own property, take ownership. Oh, wait, they playing Monopoly now.
Yeah,
whoa.
See, and I on that point, I love that point, because that, I feel, is one of the keys towards our, freedom, if you will, which is ownership. We'll never be able to do anything about all of our black people being killed or enslaved until we have an equitable point of positioning. We have to operate from a position, because really what we're doing right now, the reason why nothing's changed is because they don't have to do anything. You feel me? It's like we're upset and we're mad. It's like, okay, I hear you, but how are you gonna make me do it? Right. Like, how are you gonna make me do it?
Here, I'll paint a mural, okay? You guys happy now?
Exactly. Right. Exactly. I'll name a street after what's
I'll bring
his name.
Basketball back.
Right.
You guys happy now?
Exactly.
And tag Black Lives Matter on the court.
They just give you, it's like the donkey and the carrot and the sticks. Like, you give them just enough to make them feel comfortable and lull them to sleep, spoil them. Like, black people, we got a lot of issues of individualism and things like that, and we got to recognize what's really going on. We have to recognize what's actually happened and who's doing it, who's in charge, and what we can do to take ourselves out of that. It's going to be a sacrifice for sure.
Have we ever asked ourselves this question? Why us? What is it about us that we don't know that they know?
That's
because
key.
if we ever knew who we really were, would we able to be in this situation right now? Because look, I don't hate on nobody for no reason.
Right.
I don't try to oppress someone for no reason. Right. So for some reason, we're being oppressed and being hated on, but it's for a reason. We're considered 3/5 for a reason. There's separation for a reason. What is this reason? What is it that you know about me that I don't know about myself yet?
And I feel like there's a couple theories with that, because some could say, and a lot would say, and accurately so, I feel, as much as we can know, is that they feel inferior to us. They know that we have a lot of power, whether it's melanin, whether it's being able to work all day without passing out and getting cancer, or whatever it may be. We are special.
We have hit Nick Cannon territory.
Whoa,
podcast. You're right though. You're right.
We're a little
100%.
We're a little special. Then there's also things like, if some people want to just view it as a theory, but that everybody came from black people. Period.
That's low key real,
and in the sense of blue eyes, blonde hair. That's all genetic mutations proven. Biological mishaps to an extent. And no, you good. And ultimately, I just feel like a big part of what, to answer your question, like to me, I feel like the big thing is that they got to see our ancestral power that we got stripped of being able to be exposed to. So we'll never truly be able to see what they're so fucking scared of, because they got to see it in our prime. They got to see it when we was able to do us, when we were able to be kings and queens and rule and have certain jurisdiction over certain land. They got to see that, and they was able to strip a good amount of us, at least the powerful ones, to where we had to succumb to certain things. But as we see within even American history, they showed us so much from our history. We learned. I was in Christian school, so I went through a Becca book of curriculum, which is based on Christianity and evolution, small paragraph. Charles Darwin, small paragraph, a theory, and creation is how things were created, which is cool and stuff. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, I feel like it's just the sense of the fact that they know our history better than we do. Their ancestors know better than we do.
Why would I tell you the truth if I want to keep you oppressed?
What's dude's name? J. Edgar Hoover, right? He said the biggest threat to America was the rise of a black messiah. You feel me? Not a, Asian messiah, not a, Hispanic messiah. He said a black messiah, because he knows that the moment that black people recognize what is really going on and we start moving how everyone else moves, how everybody else moves, right? It's like I'll link up with my people. Right. It's not like I gotta go out and hurt. I don't even really gotta go out and be violent towards anybody else. Our unity is the power. It's the atomic bomb. Everybody else, you got a Koreatown, you got a Armenian town.
Nice.
You feel me? The moment that black people start organizing ourselves the way that people are supposed to organize themselves, that'll be that.
Do y'all think
where's Blacktown? Where's African Town?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
We struggling.
Do y'all think there was like a sense of manipulation and us being gullible as well? It started with the infiltration of how they were able to do that.
We were broken down and forced to be vulnerable.
You got to look at us, right? When we passed our history on, we did it through song and dance. What they understood was the power of the pen, and the pen became law. And then we fell under laws and regulations and rules, but they were the ones who wrote. It's like a contract. Whoever makes the contract is the one that's in charge.
Right.
So the difference between us is we don't get the power of the pen yet, and finance. Because guess what? We have buying power, right? We spend the most money, but we never spend that money within us. The black dollar always leaves us.
Right.
But if we understood, if we kept the black dollar within us, what would that change? What ripple effects would it change if we didn't have to go outside and give our finances to everyone else? And we started building our own communities and our own things and our own wealth or whatever else. But we have a stigma of we want to keep up with the Joneses.
Right.
And I'd like to also add in the sense of what are people afraid of for black people? Also looking back at the fact that how we were so conditioned and stripped of our spirituality, into where Christianity became what we had to be singing about, what we had to be learning about, what we had to be praising. Let's not forget, and I feel like a lot of black people forget that because they're so ingrained in church, they forget that Christianity wasn't ours. Christianity is not what our ancestors dealt with. That's what our enslaved ancestors, once we got enslaved, had to learn. But even in media and movies and different things, people don't like the paranormal aspect. I love it because I love the aspect of let's talk about hoodoo and voodoo and the power that we have, because when it comes down to it, even if we were just to look at human psychology, psychosomatic symptoms are real. If you believe something strong enough, it'll happen or you'll feel it. And that's what a lot of hoodoo is a belief system, which is what Christianity is, which is what any religious system is, to believe that you're healed by a prayer, you're healed by this group, you're healed by this word of God, whatever it may be. But I feel like something that's often overlooked is the fact that could have fed into why they're kind of scared of us. We don't even know what our spirituality held. We don't know what kind of... They labeled it as black magic to seem bad and devil related. But when it comes down to it, we have power that is unmatched, that ain't tapped into, that our ancestors know of, but we are so stripped of the knowledge of because they scared, right, of something. We don't even know yet because we're not allowed to get to know. And that's a theory to me. That's a theory, one of the many.
I think that's a strong point, right? So throughout this journey, after meeting her, I moved to California. I wanted to do the acting thing. That's why we're, I was in the Bay for a second. Moved down here. That's when we met.
You went to the Bay first.
I went to the Bay first.
Okay.
I started acting or whatever else.
What made you get into that?
Man, I've been acting the fool my whole life, so I was like, why not get paid for it? You know what I'm saying? I believe I could do this. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I went to San Diego and I got to meet Mr. Mosley from My Sweet Life, Zach and Cody.
Oh, okay. From he was also in the Wayans Brothers.
Yeah, so I did an audition for him. I'm like, yo, how can I be different? Because we all competing for the same job. I said, let me run to the store. Ran to the store, grabbed a soda. Came back. I'm ready, Mr. Mosley. I go in to do my audition. What makes you cool? It's not your haircut. I took off my motorcycle helmet, set it down. It's not what you wear. Took off my motorcycle jacket. It's not what you drink. Or is it? And then I pulled out my drink and I opened it. And the soda just busted out the soda. I had on all white. I had soda all over me. Oh, wow. Right? And I just stayed in character. I was like, I guess I was just happy to see you. He was like, oh, that's moved to LA. So that's how I wound up getting to LA. Got to LA, started doing security. That's how we wound up meeting. I never spoke about this, you know what I'm saying? Right. Not because it was something I had to hide, but it was just more so of, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
This dude, we'll be working together one day, and then I remember all of a sudden he was like, I gotta dip out. I gotta go to this premiere. I'm like, wait, the hell? We had one premiere, and he's going to a whole other premiere for what he got going. So that was kind of how I started seeing
Yeah, man, I wanted to be in the room, bro. So here's the funny thing: when we were doing the security, and we we'd get to go inside the theater with all the actors, and they had their private screens and stuff. I was embarrassed, and I was like, man, God, I don't want to be up in here like no security guard. Anybody can respect me in Hollywood, and I'm over here with a security guard battle. And he's like, fool, you in the room. Right. What is wrong with you? Right. You don't even realize the blessing. You're not on TV watching them. You're inside the room with them. So if you want, why aren't you carrying yourself like you're already there? Why are you not walking in your truth? It doesn't matter what you have on. Guess what? They play roles where they got to wear security uniforms too. Get your mind right? So all of a sudden, that's when you see me dipping. And I would go and hey, Mr. Denzel, when we did Fences, and I got to meet Denzel and all these, and, so I started watching how they moved and started listening to how they talk and how they carry themselves or whatever else. Shout out to Denzel too, you know what I mean? And Denzel said, he said that steal from everybody, learn what makes them a return on investment. Understand your craft and put the work in the craft or whatever else. And this dude, it's not the fact that he's just a great actor; he's a freaking machine. Because we did Roman J. Israel, the movie or whatever else, right? Yeah. And so Denzel did his scene 30 times in a row. He spoke to nobody, right? He would sit there, read the script, stand up, say the script, ready, go in, boom. Come back down, sit down, don't speak to nobody, read the script, stand up, say the script, boom, go back in, do the scene. And I'm like, what the heck? He's not even talking about it. He just, and then after it was over, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, who am I? I'm over here acting like a goofball, talking about this is the lifestyle I want, but you ain't got that type of work ethic. You lying to yourself. So I had to change my work ethic within me.
And to add to that real quick, I've seen him speak about how even this was a few years ago when I heard this, but so I'm sure he's still doing it. He still takes acting classes till this day. And 10 years ago, he was, notable as one of the greatest to ever do it, if not the greatest to ever do it. And he still says he takes acting classes.
Let's use Mamba. Mamba used to, hey, Paul Pierce, how you do your step back? Akeem Olajuwon, how you do your footwork? He was still learning from everyone because he loved what he does. And when you love what you do, you always want to keep learning.
Right? And I feel like that's what it comes down to, even being in love with knowledge and being a forever or a lifelong student. Always being willing to learn something and not being closed-minded to the aspect of feeling like you know everything, all the hacks of life, you know how to get through everything. No, you can always learn something from somebody else's experience, one way or another, whether it's what they do. And it's not always plagiarism. It's not always being envious. It's not all that. It's being inspired. Right. It's understanding that, oh, shit, maybe what I was doing was not working. Let me try a different way. And let me try because based off seeing their experience with it, not trying to be like them, not being envious, but just knowing that I need to take a different avenue. Right. There's only so many avenues. You're gonna you're gonna come across something that somebody else has done at some point. Right. So something that I have to work with as being an artist is not being so caught up in copying somebody. Right. It's not copying. It's just learning.
Right.
It's adapting. It's being different. It's growing, and you don't have to get on yourself thinking that everything is plagiarism. Everything has to be, like I said, something I'm working on personally.
Like his point was, don't be the next me, be the next you. Exactly. But just understand there's certain things that you can do that you might see that I do that you can take from to make yourself, you know what I'm saying, evolve, to push yourself to a further space, right? So, you know, we were doing security or whatever else. We did security at Fox Studios, all these different places or whatever else. So
Literally everywhere.
I told you I got an agent. I'm like, bro, I got my agent. This is happening and whatever else. And I think I want to go to school or whatever else for acting. So I wound up going to, not for acting, for directing. Because
when I seen you at Burbank Studios?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had worked on the book or whatever else. You know what I'm saying? I had written a book because of Michael B. Jordan and Brian Coogler. They inspired me with Fruitvale Station and with Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. I was like, you know what? Let me get out my head and go ahead and write this book or whatever else. So I wrote the book or whatever, right? So my friend Jeff, shout out to him, Jeff Akoff, Industry Straight is what he go by. He played Tupac in the Death Row Chronicles. Want to give him roses and love. He was like, I'm going to NYFA. I'm going for screenwriting. I wrote a book. I'm going to screenwriting too.
Right.
Right? And then I got there, and then it was like, oh, you got to write 120 pages. I got to write who? How many? Every week?
Every week. Every
120
week.
pages a week.
Bro, this ain't for me.
100 what?
Nah, but I feel it though. You feel me? You gotta.
The devil is a lie. I walked over here, started looking around the table, and they had a directing table, and they, that's my lane. That's me right there. So that's how I wound up starting doing the directing Jones, whatever else. So I had an audition. You know, actors get auditions or whatever else. So I got an audition for Ballers or whatever else. Because mind you, I haven't been going out because I was in class. I was in school. So I go on an audition for Ballers, and they was like, you got to rap. I was like, I got to rap. I got bars, but I ain't no real rapper.
Right.
What you mean, right? So I rap or whatever else. I do my little freestyle. No, I'm not finna do it right now. Haters. So I rap or whatever else, and then I do my lines for the scene. I don't hear back from like 3-4 months. I get a call from my agent. You know what I'm saying? My agent called me. You know, I mean, because as actors, you got to be able to set it, forget it. You do it, and you got to keep moving. You know what I mean? Because you got to go through a lot of no's to get to your yes. But shout out to my actors. I want you to know every no gets you closer to your yes. You know what I mean? And so I get a call from my agent, and she was just like, "Hey, King, I want to talk to you with your manager." Yeah, we're gonna call you at 3:00. Okay, will work for you. Bye bye. Click. Oh man, these niggas, they finna let me go. Excuse me for the N word. They finna let me go.
You know what I mean? It's a safe space.
I'm just trying to work on it. I'm trying to get better at not saying it this much. You know what I'm saying? Watch when I leave, I'm like,
right. No, I feel you.
I'm trying to get better. You know what I mean? Because I'm not perfect. I got my own flaws. So they called me at 3:00. I was like, oh, all right. I don't want to answer it, but let me go ahead and answer this phone real quick. Right. So King, how are you doing today? I was like, I'm good. How are you guys doing? They were like, oh, everything's cool. Have you heard the news yet? And I'm like, nah, I haven't heard anything yet. So you booked Ballers. I'm fired? She said, what? I said, y'all finna let me go, right? She was like, what are you talking about? I said, you booked Ballers. What? Let's go, son. I booked Ballers, HBO.
That was probably like when artists first hear themselves on the radio.
I'm out there. I'm over there, Millie rocking in the middle of the street at Burbank Studios. I'm acting a fool, right? And so peep this, right? So I'm excited. I get on set of Ballers, and when I get to Ballers, I think I got to rap. I was like, wait, nigga, you got to rap on? See, I did it again, bro. You got to rap on HBO? You finna get clown. You know you go. They messed up in the audition. When they meant rap, they meant like holler at a chick.
God, wow.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Antiquated terminology.
Right.
Like, what's giving rap
I'm
to
getting
it?
it. I'm like trying to, in my mind, I'm like, wait, are they going to give me bars to say? Or am I just really making something off the top of my dome or whatever else? And then I found out they just wanted me to holler at a chick in the strip club or whatever else for the scene. So I'm like, oh, man. I did all that. You know what I mean? So it was funny. So the day I had to book, I booked Ballers. Guess what Ballers is at?
Where?
Fox Studios, bro.
That's crazy.
So the same
You've
place
been in there a million times.
we were doing security
right.
was the same homies that watched me walk to the trailer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was fire, right? So I got to go back to the homies and like, yo, they was like, this yours? I'm like, yeah, bro, it's mine. That's me now. But I was like, but hold up. Yo, you could be in the same position as me. I'm only proof that the work matters. You know what I'm saying? Bro, I got in school. I started going to, I started getting my headshots right. I started, you know what I'm saying? All this just stepping stones to create the foundation for it to be a reality, which inspired other people to want to do. Because I came back and told you about the situation. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited. I'm on Ballers. And I meet my bro Chris Lofton. Shout out to him. He played Kassan Teague. He's now on Power. He's on Snowfall. He's on Tommy. He's killing it. You know what I'm saying? So he took me under the wing or whatever else, and then we kicking and we joking in the trailer, laughing. I'm like, yo, can I get a picture with you and stuff? He's like, yeah, homie, I got you, no problem, right? So we take the picture. It's like, wait, what role you playing? I said, I'm playing Wiry Guy. He's like, wait, hold on, you the brothers finna shoot me in a strip club? You the reason why I ain't getting no checks no more? No, I ain't taking no picture with you. Nah, and then so we took the picture or whatever. It was cool, right? So it was a vibe. So we and you know what? The reason why Ballers is so successful,
Spoiler,
you know what I mean? Shout out to Rob Wise,
right.
is because when you work with, and that's why this show will be successful. When you work with people who have the same goals, same agenda for the right reasons, and they're professional, you have no choice but to create magic because the energy's right. And so season 4, episode 10 was the Colin Kaepernick episode. And I was like, man, yo, I'm so grateful to be here. I thank y'all so much, yo, for doing that. And they were like, what are you talking about?
Not even knowing your
Not
story,
even knowing my story.
Right.
And they was like, when I told them who I was and I told them my story, they took me to the creator of Ballers. And I got to tell them who I was. And I got to tell them why that episode meant, bro, you have one of the top shows on HBO.
Right.
You don't have to tell the truth. You don't have to touch this because that's so touchy.
Right.
But the fact that you said it and you told the truth, bro, I am in tears. Thank you. I love you. I appreciate it. This is the creator of it, bro. It just means everything to me, to the actors, to everybody, to the production crew, the team, whatever else. Bro, why I wind up having a book signing on Ballers, bro? They allowed me to bring my book in right and pass the book around and just sign it for people on Ballers. Wow. Nothing but God, bro. Nothing but sometimes you got to do the work. Right. Like I never thought I would be right here right now from 2005. I have survivor's guilt, bro, because why am I still here and my other brothers and sisters are no longer here? What's so special about me? Because I ain't that special for you to keep me here. And so I believe it's just for the work, bro, for the book. And because, and I think it's for the book. I'm going to get to the movie. But when I went and I did the interview, you know what I'm saying? When I did the interview with Jake Tapper, because I got to talk about my people. Yeah, I'm going to talk about us. You know what I mean? Okay. Because sometimes we cap like we did Cube and stuff, and we hate and we hurt each other. What platform is it? Well, so I did CNN with Chris Como, with Jake Tapper on the news stations, right? Okay. And sometimes people ain't. You have to understand the environment you in and what it is. Mm-hmm. I'm live on 6 o'clock news. You know what I'm saying? Talking to the whole world.
Did they reach out to you before you did the Ballers?
No, yeah, this is before Ballers. Okay. This is before Ballers or whatever else, right? This is all in the process before Ballers happened. Okay. So I did an interview. They sent me the tape of Officer Ben Fields beating up the little girl in the classroom. Right. I knew exactly who he was, bro. Instantly was hot. I'm like, yo, I'm on the post. Yo, that was me, son. He did that, blah, 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 blah. So the news station saw it. His son of WIS News lived like maybe 15 minutes from Burbank. Came over, did an interview at the house. Next thing you know, New York wanted me to fly out there to do an interview with there. And then boom, interview, right? And so, because I was trying to reach out to the little girl. So he asked me a question. He said, if you saw the officer again, what would you say? I said, I would forgive him. And people sometimes don't understand forgiveness. I think we're confused when it comes to forgiveness as a culture. That don't mean I ain't angry. That don't mean I ain't mad. That don't mean I ain't got tears. That don't mean I ain't frustrated. That don't mean that I'm not raging, bro. You feel me? Like I'm up here standing up for us. I'm up here talking for us. Right. It's my life on the line. It's me in front of the camera. It's anybody could do anything to me at any time. I'm taking all the risk. Mm-hmm. And for y'all to get online and just cap on me, oh, coon, nigga, it's everything under the sun. You know what I'm saying? I gave up my phone number, bro. You know how many fake phone calls I got? You know how many people, death threats I got? You know how many people, hey, it's me, I'm the little girl, send me a sexual picture. Wow. You know how much hell I went through, bro? But the point of it is when you tell the truth, people will always try to defame that. They'll try to find the flaws in your characters. They'll try to find any and everything so people won't want to believe what you got to say. And it shows throughout history with Martin. It shows throughout history with Malcolm, since we brought up Malcolm. Because when Malcolm went to Africa to learn the truth and said, oh my God, it's more than just black people that's studying and being a Muslim. It's every color, it's every race. And he came back to America speaking a different truth. And he was no longer a part of, he was outside of the control of being a Muslim. Now he was an even bigger threat. Now he's a bigger problem because he's telling truth. And so now we can't continue to manipulate or control or whatever else. He's out here doing his own thing. We gotta get, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes we sabotage our own stuff. You know what I mean? I receive so much. Y'all don't understand, bro. You can go to the comments because the comment section is still there. The craziness. I had turned in all my answer machine things to the VA hospital so that I could hear the craziness that I was receiving. You know, and don't get me wrong, I got good positive messages too. Yo, we proud of you. Thank you. Hey, you want us to ride? Hell no. Are you even hearing what I'm saying?
Right.
But you don't know who that is on the other phone. Because if I say yeah, then I'm a terrorist to America. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? It's the setup. Because how can I stop this dude from telling the truth? Because when would America ever really say that soldiers are getting beat up in their military uniform after protecting us? I was a problem, and I'm still a problem for it. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, I love my people. I love y'all, bro. But sometimes we clown and we joke and we got all the smoke for all the wrong reasons. Instead of just uniting and coming together to figure out how we could fix this. We on this loophole because we don't want to come together and we'd rather just cap. We'd rather just talk. We'd rather be the person in the crowd asking the person who has to take the shot in the game why he didn't make it. But you're not the person in the game having to take the shot with all the pressure on you. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So it's always easier to be in a peanut gathering and have something to say than it is to be on the court.
Right.
So, drawing this back or whatever else, right? That situation happened, and so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a movie, and my first movie was Evolution of Slavery, and it was about two slaves. Let's just say y'all my main two slaves, right? Okay. And y'all working in the field, and we're all slaves with y'all, and we have the two white slave owners. Every character stayed the same. So I had y'all going through. We did this at Griffith Park. Now, mind you, I don't know all the rules because I was a soldier or whatever else. I'm just excited to make a movie, right? Mm-hmm. We out there digging holes in Griffith Park.
Right,
bruh, I'm breaking the law like a mug. Don't even know I'm breaking the law. I mean, we out there screaming, yelling the N-word and everything else, and we got other racists at the other side of the park not know what's going on and everything else, and get back to work. You know what I'm saying?
It's the digging holes in Griffith Park for me.
Right? So we don't know. We out there dig. I mean, the hole was super deep, right? You know what I'm saying? So we go through the scene of you know how we were treated as slaves, mm-hmm. right? And then all of a sudden, the people from the park rangers pull up. What do you guys do? We're I was a little smart. Right now we're doing a photo shoot about slavery and throughout time and the evolution of it or whatever else. Because you know when you're filming, if you don't have a permit, you can't put tripods on the ground.
Right.
First guy was cool. Other guy pull up. Hey, no, and he was like, yo, I got it. Yeah. All I need you guys to do is make sure you put that hole back because you're not allowed to dig on. I was like, oh shit.
Right.
I got it. I push it back, boss. Right. So, you know, they let us get away. Shout out to having a knife or permit or whatever else. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to everybody that worked that set. I want to shout out my bro Tori and Jeff and all the people, amazing people that I work with. Right. Mm-hmm. So, in that scene, we escaped to slavery. Right. And at the end, I use Harriet Tubman's quote: "I freed 1,000 slaves, but I could have freed 1,000 more." Mm-hmm. The next scene is now after you two escape from slavery. You two are the white people or whatever else. You guys are the business owners. You guys are basically giving them the keys to the building. Like, congratulations. But you're no longer slaves. You're free. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's the evolution of how we are today as business partners. Right. And they're walking over there and they're like, hey, buddy, I'm proud of you. JC, here you go. Take it, buddy. Yeah. And when you embrace, it shows how I treated you when you was a slave. Right. Mm-hmm. And then you come over, girl. Yes, queen, this is yours, dude. Okay. And then when y'all hug, it shows how she was spitting on you when you was a slave. Mm-hmm. And then we leave, right? After that scene is over with, I ended with Kanye, slavery was a choice. And then I have you guys walking through a tunnel and then you're walking to the car. And as you're walking to the car, I show LeBron, because it's a silent film, I show LeBron James where he said it's hard to be a black man in America. This is when he first moved to California and they spray painted nigga all over his house. Mm-hmm. Excuse the N-word, it is what it is, right? And then I showed Trayvon Martin. Oh, excuse me. You guys get in the car scene, right? And when y'all get in the car scene, you guys hug, embrace. Baby, we finally made it. Our dreams are coming true. And y'all kiss or whatever else, right? And as soon as y'all kiss, license and registration, please. Mm-hmm. So now the slave owners who are your business partners just turned into the cops. Mm-hmm. And when we're showing this, we show Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, Philando Castile, Eric Garner, you know, right? And so they pull him out the car, and when they pull him out the car, they're frisking her. Mm-hmm. Slap her on the butt or whatever else, you know what I mean? And the man is in the car and he's crying because he knows if he gets out the car that he can cost his wife his life. The female cop comes over and she pulls Jeff out the car and she throws him up against the wall or whatever else. And then they put bags over their head. Pow, pow. And then they fall to the ground. Now the black guy who was the preacher who snitched on him, who told Master that they were running away, he's the police chief in the future. And he walks up to him and is like, finally caught you. Right? And then it ends and it says, why? And I just let it sit there for a second. When we can live like this. And it shows Obama with everyone else at the Selma Bridge holding hands. And it ends with Death Has No Color. And then it ends with DMX's song. The reason why I haven't released it yet is because I don't own the rights to the music, like Strange Fruit, Cause I'm Happy, What They Really Want. You know what I mean? I have to do a new soundtrack to it, but the songs are so perfect that I don't want to change it. And by me being that selfish is the reason why I haven't been able to release it. You know what I mean? And so that was the first film when everybody was vibing, we all happy. And I'm like, yo, I'm really good at this director thing. Right. I said, you know what? I want to tell my story. Why not? Why not just tell my truth? After Fruitvale Station and what Michael B. and Jordan and them did, and me going to watch Ryan Coogler's first movie, I think it's called Locks or Dreads, one of the two. I think it's called Locks. Forgive me, Ryan, if I said it wrong. But that movie inspired me so much in what Colin Kaepernick did. I said, you know what? I'm finna make my movie. Let's get it. So here out comes A War on Friendly Grounds. So A War on Friendly Grounds now has been selected in over 15 different festivals. I never thought that I would be here, sis. I never thought that I'd be in the position I'm in right now to be able to tell something that happened so long ago. So I was struggling when the Lieutenant's video happened. I was like, I'm gonna make my video and talk too. I'm gonna just go tell my truth. But I didn't want people to be like, yo, you bandwagon. No, bro, I've been doing this since 2005, fam. Right. Now I'm happy that he's gonna get his justice. Brother still want his justice too. What happened to your case? Well, my lawyer tricked me out my case. My lawyer told me, yo, you have so many charges against them. If you drop the assault charge, we can get paid in all these other different lanes for slander, for your career, for your wife, and blah. Well, I don't understand why I have to drop this charge. Right. Why shouldn't we get them for all the charges? Because this is a part of it. And this is the main charge. But when you're young and you don't know the law, and that's why it's so important that I thank God that Colin Kaepernick did know your rights. This is my lawyer, John Mobley.
Good. Say his name
Black,
again.
Eddie Black, John Mobley, South Carolina, Columbus, South Carolina. Right? Tricked me into signing that paperwork. And they dropped my case. But before that happened, he told me he would represent me pro bono in the civil suit. So I've never had a civil suit. I went to criminal court and I was found not guilty on all charges. It was so bad that the judge almost put the officer in jail for contempt because he was lying so bad. But guess what? They let that dude out and he went and did that to that little girl. And that's why the situation hurts so much. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm so upset and I want my justice so bad because I feel like if I would have got my justice that day, that young lady would have never been beat up by the police. If my situation would have been exposed about me getting beat up by the police or whatever else, that would have never happened to my brother that's a lieutenant. But it ain't about me, the lieutenant, or the little girl because we have a trail of tears. Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying I'm still fighting for that same justice to this day. I would love. Matter of fact, Dan Johnson was one of the officers over my case. That dude just got done going to prison over 50 counts of fraud or whatever else. The Richland County Department is still under investigation right now for all the criminal activity that's been going down there. I'm still fighting to this day. I would love my day in court, bro.
Right. So is there anything that, any of the fans watching or anything we can do regarding your case going forth or anything that you plan to
petitions, lawyers, anything, bro. Just, gotcha. You know what? I appreciate you for just saying something. You know what I'm saying? It's the little things. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, we can all protest differently. Everybody ain't got to do the same. Whatever God put on your heart to do, I'm grateful. Because you don't have to do nothing. And I'm not asking you to, because even if you don't do it, it's still my responsibility for me to honor my ancestors the way I want to, and for me to create a better future for my two boys.
I mean, you did more than most already. You was talking about writing the White House, writing
I did.
Senator.
I did
even
more
all of
than
that is
most
like,
people can fathom.
Bro,
usually people got people doing that for them. You and your moms took the
we wrote
to do that. And
Barack. We wrote Michelle and took the packet to the governor of the Army. It's on your desk, sir. Now you can't say you don't know nothing about it.
Right.
That's how I wound up getting my 70%. And then they dropped me, and then I went back to 30%, and then I moved to California, and I was still fighting. I just got my 100% in like 2015. So it took like 10 years. Let me tell you something that's so crazy about 10, right? Sorry about that. I did 10 years in the Army, served my country honorably. I got beat up by the police October. It's the 10th month. Me and that girl got beat up 10 years apart. There's another 10, and I was wrongfully facing 10 years. Why does 10 keep coming up like that? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So, but all I want to say is to anybody is if you just don't give up, if you just keep fighting. I don't know what the end look like, but I just know that if I woke up today, that I got to do something today.
I love your quote about if you were to die today.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna misquote you, but because I haven't gotten it hammered in. But you basically saying like if you were to get a report card for how you live after dying, and it's not an A+, or if it is, if you live tomorrow, take that as extra credit and live it accordingly. I love that because I think that's a perfect aspect. I mean, a very suitable and wonderful aspect to look at things, because people who have had survivor skill, people who are empathetic to see all that is happening to other people who are unfortunate enough to have lost their lives or been traumatized in different various ways that we haven't been susceptible to personally, is something to look at and take a different perspective from. Like, maybe I didn't do everything I need to do today. Right. But if I live till tomorrow, make sure that you try to do something progressive and something towards growth that will help you be able to do and be what you want to be.
Right.
You know?
I mean, it's just like accountability thing. Absolutely. I mean, the quote was, if you died today, would you get an A+ on life's report card? Right. And only you know that answer. But if not, and you're blessed to see tomorrow, you better wake up and live like it's extra credit, because tomorrow's not promised. You know, I just feel like we're all 6 degrees of separation from loving each other and getting along. It's just a choice. We're addicted to poison. We have been addicted to poison for so long. It's like the boiling frog syndrome. We're the frog in the pot and we don't even know to jump out, you know? So I just look at it as every day that you wake up, it's an opportunity to change your future. But the truth is, it's a closer day to your grave. So what are you waiting for? Either you do something now and you live, or you just exist and then you die.
And I value that, being someone who's perpetually on a path of growth and dealing with different things personally and otherwise. It's like, I understand that it's either I give up or I keep going. And if I'm still going to have the blessing to keep going, or the opportunity to keep going and do something different, why not do that? Whether it happens today, tomorrow, the next day, still having that as a broader goal and bigger picture to work towards, knowing that growth is not something that happens in a linear amount of time. That's not something that happens in a set pace. It's conditional, it's subjective, it happens for that person. But I don't know, hearing that to me was just like, another reinforcement of I'm on the right track. Like,
you are?
I'm on the right track, not just giving up, because I understand that, fucking life sucks. Being human, humanity is insane, and there's nothing much you can do about it as an individual to an extent. You can take that look at it, or you can take, like, look, I have one life as me, Tiana Graham. And for me, like, what's helped me is basic logic. Go back to that simple logic. I can't do nothing I want to do if I'm dead. So, might as well, if I still have the opportunity to be alive, might as well do what I can in that time until further notice, because I can't do nothing I want to do if I'm dead. So let me not expedite that, because I haven't done what I want to do.
Right.
But let me also keep that in mind, that I want to grow, and I'm not in my final form. I'm not where I want to be. I still have time, but if you can't look at the fact that you're trying to stay around for that time to happen, it ain't going to happen.
Right.
Like, that's a different... I don't know. I just felt that resonated with me in all the right ways.
I'm glad, sis.
And what's the
I'm sorry.
Good.
What's the status of this film? Like, when, like, the general public, when will there be a time where it's like we can all see this? Are you waiting for somebody to pick it up? Or like,
it got like 30 more film festivals to go through. You know what I mean? Okay. And so once it's done with the film festival circuit, I definitely will be releasing it to the world. I definitely want to pursue making a feature film out of it. Okay. You know what I mean? It's more, if I had to compare it to some films. So it is done though, like the short. The short been done. Like I said, it's already winning awards and stuff. It's been selected in 15 different film festivals and counting. Okay. If I had to compare it to a film, I would say it would be Fruitvale Station meets Pursuit of Happiness. Okay. You know, because I really feel like I ain't supposed to be here. I really feel like I'm grateful to be here. I really feel like, why would I get so comfortable in life, bro? Because I really feel like as a culture, we done got so comfortable that we forgot the sacrifices that allowed us to have the comforts that we have. You know? And the freedom riders, you know, just so many that have risked it all. They got beat up. They got hit with water hoses. They went to jail and then went back out and protested the next day. And I'm sitting here just comfortable.
Right.
You know what I mean? I feel like, and this is just me, and I ain't trying to put my feelings on nobody else. This is just me, y'all. I feel like I owe it to them because I'm going to drop y'all this gem. Whether you want to believe it or receive it or not, you are your ancestors' dream. If you really think about that, they dreamed to do whatever you doing right now while they was out there picking cotton, getting beat, getting raped, having their children taken from them, all different type of things. They dreamed to have their own house. They dreamed to have your type of problems. And sometimes we complain about what we have, forgetting what someone else dreamed that they wish they could have. And I believe if we honor and remember their dream and take that with pride and walk with our head with pride and take that dream and understand that we are setting up the future for the future. And what I mean by that is, what type of sacrifice are we going to make so our children can have better lives? Because somebody made the sacrifice for us to have the life that we have. I think we owe it that to the future. You're your ancestors' dream.
Well, this is obviously it's going to be a ongoing thing for many episodes and just time to come. Oppression in general, segregation, and everything that we've had to conquer. It took centuries for them to implement, so it's probably going to take centuries or more for us to dismantle. Absolutely. So we just got to keep fighting in our own ways. Everybody is just gonna have it's more of a mental game now than it is physical. Like we're not the ones being hosed down or having the dogs hit on us, and necessarily when we protest all the time. But we just have to find the ways to play this mental game and just go from whatever angle. And it's like you said, whatever is on your heart to do, whatever direction you feel God or whoever it is you believe in, that
right.
Whatever direction that they set you in, and just go with your heart, and as long as your heart is in the right place as far as this, and like my brother said, of us coming together, that's the only way we can go about it. But I think what I meant when I said the selfishness thing earlier is we have to realize we're not fighting for us. It's like you just said, we're our ancestors' dream. So everything that we want to see, we're not supposed to reap the benefits of what we're fighting for. We're fighting for our kids and our kids' and so on and so forth. I ain't gonna say probably, we're not going to live to see the system dismantled of racial oppression towards black
people. Not if we don't come together. Not if we don't come together. If we continue we said it earlier, insanity. If we continue to conduct ourselves the way we're conducting ourselves and expect change, then we have the right to be crazy and enjoy our craziness. Stop complaining about it.
And things of more violence come into play because realistically, we've seen from history's past, that's how every white person or non-minority has made it and established a sense of territory and otherwise a sense of power is through what revolution, war, battle, like I said earlier. It doesn't have to just take that, but that is a difference that we haven't seen. That's something that we haven't tested out to see for real, not as opposed to just looting. Not saying that we are the persons doing that, because we've seen white people and police officers and otherwise openly set us up for shit like that. But moving forward, it's just a sense of it's going to take more than just. We have to create our own army.
Right.
I think we need to get on the same page.
Absolutely.
It's going to take some form of separation at the end of the day. Economic, like I said, cultural, all that. And then some. We've been here for
60 plus years.
For centuries, and
literally.
The situation hasn't changed in our favor at all. So
I think this too, though, on the juxtapose of the situation, I think that throughout history, when change has happened, it was because every color of the crayon box came together against the people in power. You know what I mean? We didn't have all the laws that we do have in place, or amendments, should I say, until every color in the crayon box came together to say we will make a change. So I have a lot of other people from other races. How can I help? First of all, you need to be doing it for the right reasons.
Right.
Second of all, you can help by just telling the truth. When you see something wrong, correct it. Don't allow it. Don't try to help when you're around me. You know what I mean? Be the help and do the help when don't nobody see.
Right.
That's real help.
And not just twice a year when there's certain outliers who
When
come
the wave
up.
is going.
Right.
Just do it 24/7 if you're going to do it at all.
Right. I
Or
mean,
sit back and take a more passive or whatever it may be, whatever suits you in that position. But just be consistent.
yeah.
That's it.
I look at it like going to the gym, right? If I go to the gym one time, I'm not going to get in shape.
Absolutely.
It's the consistency of the gym which will show the results in my body for changing. You know what I mean? Like you see people go to the gym, young lady, and you see people, guys who are built like Johnny Bravo. You know what I mean? Because they go and they work out their chest, they work out their arms, and they skip leg day.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not the fact that the legs aren't there. It's the fact that you just didn't use that muscle.
Right.
And so I feel like sometimes we don't use all the muscles or things that or avenues that are there for us to be able to use. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm all for marching. Cool. Now it's time to continue to evolve because that's only going to take us. That's only one muscle. That's only one way. How are we going to put the finances, the economics, the coming together with the plan? What are all these steps? But sometimes I feel like our problem is people don't want to stay in their lane. If you're a hand, you're a hand. If you're a toe, you're a toe. If you know what I'm saying? It's all one body for all one agenda. But we got, I want to do what you're doing. Well, I want to wear a blue shirt. Well, why can't I sit next in the middle? And why he got the headphones on?
Right.
Why she got the earrings up?
Facts,
You know what I'm saying? Instead of us being in all of our own lanes, though. You know what I mean? And then once she must think she all of that because she on doing the show. And I remember when he did security. Bro, wasn't you locked up and didn't you do this? Didn't you get beat up? And you see what I'm saying? It goes left. You know, we become prisoners of distraction.
I feel like exactly
Right. Yeah,
worried
I
about
like
all
that,
the
yeah.
wrong shit.
Yeah.
That's something that comes up not just in my personal life with my peers, dating, otherwise. People just be worried about all the wrong shit, period.
Yeah.
Most people are worried about all the wrong shit, whether it's Lil Nas X's video or whether it's police brutality or whether it's getting Black Lives Matter paint on a street that's going to get defaced 2 days later or whatever it may be. Sometimes people be worried about the wrong things for the wrong reasons. And that's it's different if you're worried about certain things for some type of passionate, some type of personal reason, whatever. But I just feel like people not only hop on the bandwagon of things, but also just say what they feel like everybody else is saying.
I do feel like that is a bigger issue for our community than we actually think it is because our attention is so splintered in so many different directions. Like y'all, they over here, like you said, arguing over Lil Nas X, and that's the biggest thing. And then some people over here, and I'm like, yo, we should buy some land. And then, and it's like,
you know, they're gonna be like, don't nobody want to hear that bullshit, Sheree.
exactly. Yeah, no, factual,
Like, nah, bro,
factual.
but that's why we missing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me do that Monopoly analogy, right? So on the Monopoly board, right, the first two places is the hood, and people don't even realize that.
Right.
And then when you go all around
Because
the
they're the
board,
cheapest places,
right?
right?
And then you go all around the board, you got Boardwalk and Park Place,
yeah.
right? That's Hollywood. Everybody want the lifestyle, but they got booby traps set up on this board, right? So, all right, so nobody wants to be in the hood. Everybody wants to. And have you ever noticed how the value increases the more you move up the board?
Absolutely.
Right? It's designed like that
Absolutely.
purposely. Okay, so have you ever paid a phone bill, a light bill, electric, parking today in 2021? Do you pay those utility bills?
Yeah.
They're all on the Monopoly board.
They all
right?
are.
Taxes, all of it's on the Monopoly. You ever seen a
mortgage tax and all sorts of
Right?
shit? Like, wait, we don't even get taught that in schools when Monopoly got us. Like, cool.
Okay.
Right.
Love that.
You ever seen a police officer before? It's in the corner. Why is the police officer in the corner? What's in the opposite corner of the police officer? The jail. They even got just visiting because that way you can go see your homie. A long time ago, because Monopoly was created a long time ago.
ass time
the
ago.
dude
It's
who
been a thing.
created Monopoly was actually, if I'm not mistaken, he created it to show the issues with capitalism, which is a whole like we've been talking about racism, but like racism and classism. I feel like white supremacy is specifically racism mixed with classism.
Yeah.
And that's a whole that's a whole nother episode.
They're all intertwined into each other, and they all play a part into each other. And that's where that, like I said earlier, that vicious paradoxical cycle comes in too, because it's like, all right, well, everything feeds into each other.
Right.
To fix one thing, you have to fix another, but to fix the other, you have to fix another, and it's hard to kind of find that. Where do you start?
I feel like
you just gotta jump in the middle
issue,
and just fix things.
It's like similar to the issue with private prisons. Like racism has become economically advantageous for some people. So like, even though we could say it's not all white people who are controlling the system, making everything the way it is, there are white people who aren't in control that feel they benefit from the system being the way that it currently is. Same way how with private prisons, there's certain towns that are, their whole economy is based off of people being in prison. And if they got rid of that prison, it's like, I work in the kitchen there, I'm the janitor there, I'm a CEO there, I wash clothes there, yada yada yada. So it's like we have we have an interest in keeping people imprisoned.
It's a vicious cycle, and it's done purposely.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if I look at it, it's funny if you look at structure, and that's why I talked about the monopoly board, because you have the 4 railroads, which were when America first was created. That's how they moved goods from the East Coast, West Coast, North and South, or whatever else. You have you heard of government assistance? Yeah. Well, don't that sound like community chess? Yeah. That's exactly what that is. You ever heard of a person taking a risk, or a gangbanger selling drugs? Doesn't that sound like someone taking a chance? You see what I'm saying? So all these little different intricate things are on this monopoly board, and I don't think that we really pay attention to what's really in front of us. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because if you ain't the banker, you lose it anyway. So JC, every time you leave your house, guess what? You landed on someone else's property. Yeah. When you want to go buy clothes, when you want to get gas for your car, when you want to go get food. So you're always investing in someone else's stuff because you own nothing. And you can't win a monopoly if you don't own no land. If you don't own, see, you can have a house, that's cool. But notice this, if you have a home, you cannot build your house any higher, because then you have to pay for sky space. Right. But most people don't know that. If you don't own the land, it means nothing. Land is everything, bro. Everything. That's where power is. Because you can't build on my land without my permission. Right. And we see it in movies where people come in to bring the gangbangers in. Well, we're going to take over this property. We're going to do this and that. Because that's where the true power is, in natural resources and everything else. But we're not taught that. Why would I teach you the truth? If you know the truth, I can't keep you oppressed. It's like being in the military. I tell you that I really want you to know the regulations, but I don't. Because if you don't know the regulations, I could tell you any and everything and you're going to do whatever I say. But when you educate yourself, the better decisions that you can make, because you're more educated about what you're doing. And that's why we won't never really get the truth. That's why the history of your books are changing. That's why definitions and words are changing. That's why English is one of the hardest languages to learn, because the words have so many different meanings.
Right. All right. And, unapologetically, we're not gonna have time, obviously, to get into all the topics. But man, we couldn't have asked for a better show, though. We could not have asked for a better show. But I did want to touch on at least a couple of things. Before we take off. One, rest in peace, DMX.
Right.
I definitely wanted to address that before we get
That's
out of here.
Crazy just to even think about
just
that.
Just real quick, man. If all of y'all can be real swift, what kind of impact X had on you, or if you just have a certain memory of X or anything.
His daughter. When they were on the ride, and he was like, "Baby, everything's okay.
Oh, yeah,
Daddy got you.
I remember
Daddy love you." That. Because people try to throw it off on drugs, bro. It's amazing when we have a highlight reel. They try to go find the most negative thing to say, but you don't talk about the blessing and how he changed rap, how he was at Woodstock, how many people he touched through his music, and just so much how he was blessed in the future, bro. That moment with his daughter, because they say black men aren't good fathers, black men, you're lying. And that moment by X proves it. Baby, Daddy got you.
And I just seen that. I never knew he adopted Paige Heard.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
until after he passed away, she posted like a collage of pictures and talked about the movie they did together and everything.
That's beautiful, right?
Yeah. Never knew about that.
But they don't want you to know the beautiful things. But guess what? Drugs, this, drugs, that, drugs. Come on, man, stop trying to defame this man.
But I mean, I could say this though. I know our community wasn't playing that. Like, I've been seeing X get his people talk so much. I've seen a lot of posts of like, oh, y'all wait till somebody died to give them their flowers and stuff. I definitely seen, at least for our community, we rallied around X. We was not happy. You know what I'm saying? When it came to X, we did not tolerate no sort of slander. And for me personally, he's somebody that pretty much was a part of my entire childhood as far as I can remember. Yeah. One of my I know it didn't get a lot of great reviews. Movie guy, Hardball.
Okay, yeah.
But just the way
with
that
Keanu Reeves. Hardball?
Yeah, Keanu Reeves.
Chris Lofton played. Chris Lofton. It's funny how small the world is.
Who was he?
Chris played the little boy in Hardball. He was one of the little boys in Hardball, bro.
It was a whole group of them. What you mean? Which one, nigga?
I forgot
Michael B. Jordan was a little boy in the movie.
I guess that's where they wanted me. I'm gonna tell you.
Right now, look it up real quick. Yeah. But yeah, so X, having the that party up, I think was a song on there that you know what I mean. That's one of my biggest memories of like me like loving X.
Me too.
Just me being a huge hip hop head, man. I've always like had him. Anytime I make a top 10 lyricist, rapper, whatever, I promise you, X won't be far off from being either in that top 10 or right at the brim of that. I've always felt like that.
Hey, I had the Rough Rider necklace. I had the Rough Rider chain, the big R.
Oh yeah, that double R. Yeah, I mean that entire era, but X was like the forefront of it. You know what I'm saying? Even like Cassidy being like the tail end. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean of it. You know what I'm saying? Seeing from Eve to Dragon.
To the Loud.
Just the whole Jada and Styles. That's probably my favorite era of those two, more so than when they were with Bad Boy. Was when they got with double R. You figure out who he was.
Okay, so Michael B. Jordan, he played Jamal, and Chris Lofton played Clarence.
Clarence.
I'm about to go back.
I remember. Yeah, Clarence didn't talk much, but I do remember Clarence.
He played Clarence in that. Shout out to both.
Yeah,
I
think Clarence was I think he was the pitcher before Miles was. I don't know if y'all seen the movie, but
it's been a minute.
But yeah, that's one of my biggest my biggest memories of X, because when the Horrible movie came out, it came out on like my 8th or 9th birthday, and I remember mom's taking me to the theater to see that, and to this day, that's like one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, like DMX was a big part of my childhood, just from the music to the movies.
Right. Yeah.
Like when Romeo Must Die came out with Jelly and Aaliyah, it was like, okay, that's dope. But it was like, that's DMX movie. For some reason, he wasn't in it that long, but I was like, that's DMX.
Yeah.
I think DMX.
And then Cradle to the Grave is like basically like a part 2.
Exactly.
Of Romeo
I got like a vivid memory of being like with my friends. We had gone to like I was running in the Junior Olympics like when I was like 9 or 10 or something like that. And we had just like got out the airport, got in the car, and it was like me and my friends, and then it was like my track coach, like this lady. And that song came on, and she was just pumping us up. She was like, "Make the car rock, make the car rock," and it was just that type. It was just that. It was just that type. Just that
it's
type.
Hard
of,
not to do that with any X song though.
Just that type of energy, and then as I got older and like you delve deeper, like watching the interviews and just learning more about the man. It's like he, as men, we're kind of told that we're not, we don't really express our emotions, but he was extremely vulnerable, and that's what endeared us to him, because
and nobody questioned his masculinity.
So he was a great example of a man that had been through so much trauma and was still working through his trauma up until the end. Like it was working through his trauma up until the end, and it's just like. He's just that. I don't know. He's just that dude, man. To me, like he's just that dude.
Look, DMX was so hardcore. I'm sorry. I apologize. And he still got out there and prayed for the world.
Yeah.
His prayers was fire to be that, because we looked at DMX like yo, that's that guy. You know what I'm saying? Right. And he still got up there in front of the whole world, in front of concerts, in front of everything he did, and always wanted to pray.
He was in the first Def Jam Vendetta, man. I don't know if y'all played that game.
Was he on the cover?
Yeah, I think he was the last bar belly, you feel me? Like everything, like every Cradle to the Grave, all that, man. It was crazy.
See, for me being the youngest on the panel, I don't have the experiences you guys have. However, growing up and being older, I'm more so, his music is undeniable, come on now. His character, and we all know I speak on mental health probably every episode as we talked about, but he's somebody that is a pioneer to me. Yet an unsung one, because people don't want to highlight that part of DMX. But when it comes down to it, he was talking about mental health before anybody else was.
That's true. Like that song Slipping.
Enough to talk about addiction, to talk about his story about getting, smoking a blunt laced with crack when he didn't even smoke for real. Like, all sorts of shit. Like, telling his story, him being vulnerable, like y'all said, it never took away from his masculinity. It baffles me that people don't take that as the main example to continue to be a fucking human and express yourself, because somebody who is this hard, who's this rough and tough, who's been through this much shit, can do it. There wasn't not even a mention of a simp or a gay or a soft or a fruit. Nothing. Ever. If
anything, it was the opposite.
With the DMX sentence ever. And that's something, this man talked about flowers, talked about peace, talked about prayer, talked about love, like, yeah.
And you knew not to try him.
And they knew. And that's something that's often, which I feel like, I hope can be more exemplified. Unfortunately, it would take his death to do so. And rest in peace, DMX. However, I hope that this is something, the way we're highlighting his life and the things he's done. I hope we take this as many other little initiatives to highlight the fact that we can be vulnerable, we can express our story, we can talk about the fact that we love the beauty around us in nature, that we love the blessing of breathing deep into clear air, that we love to go to the ocean and just look at the fucking waves. Like, you know, people not being looked at as soft, black men, black people not being looked at as soft or inferior or, you know, not masculine enough because they see the simple things in life and can appreciate it. They see it's not just money and clout and street cred that keeps you going. It's pure being genuine. It's pure love. It's pure character. It's being pure in heart and spirit. And that's something that I value the most out of DMX, and that I hate that was taken away.
I mean, now we're going over it. Like, for DMX is like the only like rap artist that I even mention in the same breath as like Tupac, as far as like just coming through with that aura. Like that's a perfect word
too. I mean, just raw emotion, being able to not quite compartmentalize it in the way of separating it so much to where they're two different people because they have these dualities.
Exactly.
But more so making it clear that despite the fact that we hard, that we this, we that, we still go through.
It's like I still cry. Like
I still cry sometimes.
Exactly.
It's still
you know,
like,
I feel like that's awesome.
Exactly.
And I got two things I want to mention about X that I want everybody to go check out, including everybody at this table. One, the video. I don't know if you guys ever seen the video with him and Nip.
I seen that.
Yeah, because I remember when I seen it originally, like it touched me because I used to be happy to just know that our legends messed with Nip the way they did, or that they had, you know, like that he had some sort of impact on them from this, you know, just small guy from South Central, you know what I mean, and you know blew the industry away to where like anybody who's somebody addressed him, and to see X. You know what I'm saying? And it was early Nip, too. It wasn't even Victory Lap Nip. This is, like, probably around the time of, like, Crenshaw and, you know what I mean? That's for the Nip. And he's telling me, like, yeah, like, you know, I know about you. I heard about you. You know what I mean? Right. So that video, and it's even more of a beautiful moment now, you know what I mean? Considering everything that's going on. Right. And I know nobody at this table probably know who J.O. Felony is.
Come on, man.
Oh, okay. My favorite DMX verse of all time is that "What You Gonna Do." It's with DMX, Method Man, and J.O. Felony.
Shout out Meth.
So go check that out. Yeah. Meth got a verses coming up too, I think, with Red. Yeah, man. So I guess, you know, it's a good place to, you know, put a button on it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we
appreciate you sharing your story, man. It's powerful.
All of it.
Yeah. You know, it's inspiring. You know, and like I told you, you know, however many years ago, man. Regardless of any of the work you've done, just living your life, you smiling, you being positive, and finding the, you know, staying away from the negativity in life, and you know, being able to just light up a room when you walk into it. I think all of that in itself is just a testimony for you. You know what I mean? Of you being able to conquer all that and just still be moving, let alone all the other stuff that you went through. You know what I mean? To keep this moving. And if there's anything you need, of course, you know what I'm saying, we're willing to help going forward.
And I'd like to piggyback off that real quick, because most people don't hear it enough, as I feel some people should. But here's me giving it to you. Your existence is valued and so important in today's world. So thank you for still choosing to put up that fight with existence.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the mental struggle alone is enough to make you want to give up every fucking day. So the fact that it's taken 16 years and counting, you still with a smile on your face, still fighting, still consistent, still advocating, still doing everything you need to do for not only, you know, justice for yourself, but justice for the system and the situations at hand. Right. And I just want to say that's valued. Thank you for doing the work that a lot of us can't do.
I think that's where the forgiveness came in.
Absolutely.
And like I could have went and got a gun and done something stupid. But I really believe that my book will last forever. The movies will last forever.
And
It's a legacy.
thank you for saying that. That was my next question. Can people still purchase this?
Oh yeah, the book is on Amazon. Yeah, the book is on Amazon.
Okay. So yeah, make sure you give me the link and all that, cause I was wondering, cause man, when I tell you, I've been telling everybody about this book. I told my girl I'm getting her one. I told my sister, like, so it is still available. And now I need a new copy. I couldn't even find.
You can just
mine.
go on awarmfriendlygrounds.com. It's my website or whatever else, and click the link, and you can purchase the book there, or you can just get it off of Amazon straight on Amazon or awarmfriendlygrounds.com.
Okay, got
And if you want to see the trailer for the film, that's awarmfriendlygrounds.com. That's awarmfriendlygrounds as well.
Got you. And I'll make sure I, put that at the bottom. All right. Once again, man, thank y'all for tuning in.
One last thing. Y'all can find me on Instagram at King Jaquell Martin. That's KingJaquell Martin. That's King Jaquell Martin. Or Look in the Mirror Productions. Putting out films, we putting out content. We just want to keep working. And if anybody want to, get on the vibe, catch the wave, and just put out some amazing content to create change, that's why I named the company Look in the Mirror Productions. That's what I'm all about. I appreciate it. And once again, to the lieutenant, man, I can't wait till we have a conversation. I can't wait to be a blessing, however I can help. You know what I mean? And I wish you nothing but love and peace, because I understand the race that you're about to run. So I'm here for you.
Right. Yeah, so go check us out, man. All major media platforms. Type in the AGM podcast or All Grind Media. I have all of our Instagrams at the bottom. You can reach out to us. Let us know what you think. Any topics you want us to bring up going forward.
Thank you for your service. I don't know if that's been touched up on, but thank you so much for your service.
I appreciate it.
And to do it honorably and willingly, not being drafted, not feeling obligated for other reasons. Thank you. For your service.
And you'll see more, like when you read the book, you'll see more on his story.
Absolutely, I'm so looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, and when y'all check the book out, man, I put the stars as bullet holes because I feel like that's the new hanging.
I love that.
You know what I mean? I mean, we're not being hung anymore.
That's crazy. I never even peeped that, bro. That's crazy. I've seen this picture a million times, bro.
Yeah.
Very on point.
Oh, just so I know, this is a real picture too. From
that's the real picture.
Yeah, and I can see that, and I love the. Like I said,
because they used to lynch us in the street for public display, you know what I mean? Right. And so now I think just the social media is this public display of us being shot. So that's why I wanted to translate the hanging to the bullet holes. Right. That's why I came up with that.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, so hit us up, man. allgrindmedia21@gmail.com for anything y'all want to, any reviews, any topics. You want to, any words from my guy, just let us know. You can also reach us on Instagram at the AGM Podcast, YouTube, the AGM Podcast, and make sure to hit the subscribe button. You wanted to ask something?
Oh, yeah. Y'all can check out my podcast. It's every Thursday. It's called Look in the Mirror, The Conversation. And I'm just blessed to be on a platform like this. And y'all can come through and y'all can come kick it with us.
Oh, for sure. Bro.
Absolutely.
Whenever, bro.
It's set up Zoom style or whatever. So it's like the Brady Bunch box, and we throw out a topic and we all just, talk in the same space.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sure.
All right, thank y'all for tuning in, man. Peace. See y'all later.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I was
doing.
I was not expecting that.
How long did you go?